In the morning when I leave my den, I'm moisturized with the tears of men. Stir my tea with a crucifix, I'm an ugly nasty, call me bitch. In the evening when I'm on the rag, I just rip out a couple of American flags, take a nice hot bath in the blood of the rich, I'm an ugly nasty, call me bitch. I try to think, but it hurts my brain, so I have an abortion or find champagne. I'm a Jezebel, I'm a wicked witch, I'm an ugly nasty, call me bitch. Weekends when I want some fun, castrate a man, take away his gun, drive a classic car into a ditch, I'm an ugly nasty, call me bitch. Well, I know I am, but what are you? Some fascist bootleg Nazi tool? A whiny boy with a tiny dick? Or a dumb fuck redneck backward hick? Did I get it right? Did I peg you yet? Maybe we don't know who we ain't met. Maybe nobody wins but the already rich. If you're a dumb redneck and I'm a commie.
Good morning, my beauties and bees. It is Saturday. It is May 17th. Right now it's 8:37 a.m. Not that ever matters. I got my blinds open here, so the lighting's kind of weird. So, deal with it because I am puppy sitting today, and we have a wild Henry outside, and I'm just keeping an eye on him because there's a pool out there. He's pretty sure-footed, and he can swim like really good for a little puppy. So should be all right. But I have my blinds and my window open just in case he needs me. Hopefully. Oh, he heard me talking. He hears me. He's outside. Do you hear him? Do you hear him? He hears me talking. He wants me to come out and play with him. I don't know if you can hear him or not. He's howling. He has a big bark when he wants to. Byron, one of the neighbor dogs, was barking late the other night, and Byron was up with him, sitting in the living room, and he recorded some pretty big barks in response to her howling at him. It was kind of cute. My audio is low. Let's see. What can we do about that? I can pull it up here. I can also pull it up in here. Let me know if that's better. Yeah, good morning. Yeah, let me know if this is sounding any better. Okay, headphones, USB. Okay, well, it's way down there. Oh, probably gonna blow your eardrums out now. Hold on. There we go. Have to adjust it for Talk Studio, which has its own sound thing. I don't like having to do it, but Talk Studio is good. Talk Studio is good. Good morning, everybody. Let me say hi to everybody, because we had some stuff drop, and I wanted to say it, to mention it. Good morning, Captive Desk Dave. Good morning, Crystal. Thank you for dropping my links. Fox is here, and John. Good morning, John. D is in the house. Hello, D. Ember popping in and throwing around dollar bills like she owns the place. She gave a free gift membership to Joshua Davidson, Big Zebra, Anarchist, DJ Megan Satanas. Cool name. Rob Rodriguez. Yeah, so those are our 5 new members. Please stomp across the screen with Bigfoot tracks if you're here so we can see you and congratulate you for joining the Hive. Look at the trees is here. Hello. And Bugbot, of course, is here stinging me because he's kind of a dick. And yeah, Aunt Jur is in the house. Hello. Sumami's here. Mainly, I wanted to get those gift memberships out of the way. But yeah. Anyway, let's get caught up on things. So yeah, I am know what's going on. So we have it's definitely has German Shepherd in him. He's got a little curled tail. I suspect husky, and he talks like a husky. So I think Henry is a Shepsky. maybe an Australian Shepherd Shepsky mix or something like that. Some combination of those three. I don't know for sure though. And he could have other dogs that have curled tails in. So what we did was we got this cool little DNA test that you can mail in, and they'll come back and tell you what breed your dog is. So we're going to find out what Henry is. And yeah, so I should bring Henry in here before the end of the show. He's standing out there staring at me right now. He can hear my voice, and I think he's annoyed that he can't see me. And I keep saying his name, and he keeps looking over every time I say his name. It's so cute. Round and rosy today? Oh, yeah. I'm being a little more colorful today. I'm wearing some rainbows. This is my Pride shirt for this year. It's super cute, but like when I go to Pride events and stuff, I'm going to wear this. But, yeah, that's maybe not these shorts with it. I don't know, but yeah. So I kind of matched my makeup to go with the whole vibe. So I got a lot of pinks in my facial makeup today, including my lips and my eyeshadow. So I am very Barbie today with my blonde hair and pink accents. And I got this cute necklace that I'm wearing. Haven't worn it for a while. This one has hearts on it. So I'm being bubbly today because I can. Because why not? Is it a crime to try to enjoy the life? It's not really. I mean, it's a sweater, but like if you look at it, look at it. It's a cutoff sweater. It's not even a thing. It's like super thin. If I was wearing a white bra underneath it, I don't know though. Maybe it'll be too hot. Maybe I'll need to wear a tank top. Maybe I'll need to go to protest or to go to Pride events naked. But people bring their kids to them, and I don't want to be the one to end up on the news saying, "Oh, this person is dressing inappropriate in front of kids." My eye makeup, really? I learn new things all the time because I watch like shorts and stuff at work. That's all I can watch. But, yeah. Yeah, look at these beautiful people this morning. Everybody's rolling in. We got like 1 minute till Cryptic Corner, but I'm waiting until the alarm goes off. I'm trying to streamline the show for y'all because it's important that we have the sectioned off. So I guess before we go into things, let's do this. We'll go to the polls and see, because I got a minute. We're going to go to the polls. Oh, not switch accounts. Good grief. This new mouse I got, sometimes it just skitters off to the left. I don't know what's causing it, but it's annoying. But, yeah, we're going to go to the polls. There's the alarm. So we'll look at the polls and we'll pop right into Cryptic Corner. But for the moment, let me pull this up. No. Where are you? Is this you? Yes. But you all can't see that because this thing is all stretched out. So there we go. All right. So this week's polls, got to get down to them. This is my fun feed, though. If you ever interact with my stuff, and I'll keep posting it. If nobody interacts, I don't post. So I'll quit posting for a while because I'm very very positive reinforcement driven. But yeah, I communicate with bugs and do little stupid little polls. Would you still love me if I was a worm? Which most people either said yes, they would still love me, or that they already thought I was a worm. So I love you too. Love you too. And then I do like questions about how we should run the show, just to see what people like and what I'm doing, what they prefer, because we only have so many hours in the day. Talk about prehistoric animals and bugs and silly stuff and cryptid stuff. But we ran a poll to see what we were going to cover this week for Cryptic Corner, and our options this week were the Yeti. I think the Yeti's our veteran on the list now. We all know what a Yeti is. I do want to crack that open and look at some different Yeti videos. We had the Beast of Busco, which is pulling up the end there. This is a good summer cryptid because it's a giant snapping turtle from Indiana. Really a unique standout cryptid in my opinion. The White Lady, which is folklore, global folklore really, about the White Lady ghost that'll appear in. Sometimes it's on the side of the road, sometimes it's in the graveyard. The White Lady. But this week's winner was the Sweeper of Uden, or the Sweepers of Uden, which is a weird alien encounter that we're going to get into in just a moment. On the other poll for our Weekend Weird, we had the Charming the Serpents. It's about snake charming. We're going to crack that open and see what that's all about. We have the Knights of Tartaria, which are... if you all know me, I love Tartaria nonsense. It's replaced Flat Earth for me. I love their like idiotic folklore. It makes me happy, makes me smile to listen to them presented as real. So we got Knights of Tartaria. It's like this unit of Iron Man like characters, I guess, that protected the Tartaria kingdom when it was a global empire. Sky Trumpets, which was something that was brought up by the Apostate sisters. I can't remember if it was Patty or Nancy, but one of them mentioned the Sky Trumpets, and I was like, I covered that before, but you know what? I think it was like pre-transition stuff. And I would like to cover it again. I'm going to start doing that too, like redoing stuff as Bree that I did on the Brain Bug channel before. Just to kind of rebolster the topics that we cover. The problem with doing that with Cryptic Corner, though, is that on Cryptic Corner, the episodes are numbered, and we're really getting close to 200. But some of the episodes are from Brain Bug. If people don't know, before I transitioned, my channel was called Brain Bug. I changed it to Hive Sci after. Well, first I changed it to Hive Science, and then I changed it to Hive Sci after I transitioned. But so Cryptic Corner is like our longest running show. I mean, yeah, we're about to hit 200 episodes. I've been doing it since. Pretty much weekly, with rare exceptions, since 2020, either 2020 or 2021. If you count like the Murder Hornet videos and stuff like that, that would have been, that was what April of 2020. When was the Murder Hornet scare? I can't remember. Yeah, I like Hive Sci too, and Hive Sci can be more collective. But anyway, I'm rambling now, and we need to get to Cryptic Corner because we're already 5 minutes. Oh, we're already 5 minutes late for getting there, and I got a new intro for it. Because I'm kind of trying to steer away from too much like AI kind of stuff. I don't know. Seems like I can't put my own touch on stuff. Like you see my new thumbnails now that I'm doing with the black and white over the it's purple to green for Cryptic Corner, purple to blue for Weekend Weird, and yellow and purple if I do it for the I haven't decided if I'm going to do it for Life in the Hive or not. Probably not. I'll probably try something different. But I'm trying to do stuff that stands out and stands on its own. And I think taking the easy way out with AI was getting in my way. So what I've done is I found like doing like charcoal drawings of the topic, and then we put them up. Not my charcoal drawings, just ones that I find or ones that I create using other images and modifying. And there's a feature in Inkscape that you can do where you put like a black overlay over any picture. Any black and white picture, you can like make it look like it's like a charcoal drawing, and I lay it over top of. You all don't care about this. What am I doing? I need to get into the show. But yeah, I'm just talking about like trying to change things around. Is Rainbow leaving? You just got here. I gotta go get dressed and ready. I'll leave the stream for views. We watch later. Okay, yeah. Yay. Yeah, come back and rewatch later. Have a good day. Thank you for stopping by. Yeah, so it would have been 2020, Aunt Jer. All right, anyway, we need to get to Cryptic Corner. All right. I will see you guys in there. Oh, goodness, of course. From the top, my dears, I will reintroduce myself. Blah. I'm so when we were away, I had to shh the puppy. It's not gonna work. He's not gonna shush, but I had to. So from the top, from the top, my friends. Thank you so much for keeping me in the loop about that. Okay, so. From the top. Actually, I'm going to check and make sure and see how long my coffee's going to be. Still a bit of ways. Anyway. Yes, I know I was muted. All right. So, all right. Hello, my beauties and bees, and welcome to another installment of Cryptic Corner, where we explore the unexplained, the supernatural, the paranormal and hidden, the mysterious, the alien, the accursed, and the forbidden. I'm your host, Miss Bumblebee, and I am here to bring you something new. It's very rare on Cryptic Corner that we ever run across anything that I haven't seen before, especially something from the 70s. It's not really, it doesn't happen often. So color me shocked when I popped in to my, I call it my toxic sock account, but it's not so toxic. This kind of stuff's not so toxic. There's a lot of conspiracy theory stuff in there that's pretty toxic, but this one's not so bad. But this was and I'm gonna subscribe here too. This is Stories Lost. This is the channel that's bringing this to us. Encounters of the Unexplained, YouTube channel that wants to bring long forgotten stories of unknown life, of the unknown to life again. If you like the content, please like and subscribe for more episodes of Stories Lost. All right, so, and this is actually, I think the video is like fairly new because we're doing this one. This Who Were the Sweepers, and it's about the Sweepers of Uden, which I had never heard of. But they got we're gonna revisit the hell out of this channel, I think, because they have a lot of more obscure extraterrestrial sightings and entities that we're less familiar with. Encounters from the 80s. Look at that, got Alf on there. But yeah, the story we're covering is the Sweepers, though. So let's dive right in. I'm actually going to refresh this page because it's being slow.
This week we're in Uden, a quiet town in the province of North Brabant, in the southern Netherlands. It was the fall of 1973,
Is that too loud for
probably
them?
the 10th of November, on a night lit
That's
by a
better.
near full moon. At around 2:15 in the morning, Anne Dolphine, who was 55 at the time, woke up needing to use the bathroom. Nothing strange about that. She got out of bed.
Okay, do not engage Sumami in argument about clown evolution or a dispute about clown evolution. She gets really passionate about it. Thought we were doing a cryptid mime for... Yeah, we should do a cryptid mime at some point. There is like the clowns, the stand down clown, but we did that a while ago.
And started making her way from the back of the house to the front where the bathroom was. As she passed a window in the hallway, something caught her attention. It was like a flash of white, just a flicker at the edge of her vision. She kept walking. Right now, the bathroom mattered more than whatever might, or might not, have been outside. But something was out there, moving slowly down the street.
It wasn't a clown. It was not a clown. Well, these guys do kind of look like clowns, though.
As she made her way back toward the warmth of her bed, Anne turned back toward the window, a little unsure if her curiosity was getting the better of her. She stepped closer to the glass, trying to get a clearer look. Her movement behind the curtain was small, almost imperceptible. For now, she remained unseen. But whatever it was drawing closer, and she was only moments from being discovered.
They got a pretty cool little intro thing here, though. Made me want to up my intro game, honestly. So I did.
Welcome, everyone. Stories Lost is back with another episode. This time, our focus is on one of the humanoid flaps of the 1970s.
I love that term, humanoid flaps. If my channel did not have a name yet, it would now be called Humanoid Flaps. Bugbot, why are you talking about the nameless thing still? Bugbot's always on last week. Yeah. Or 2 weeks ago, I don't know.
1973 was one such year. When UAP sightings accelerated, reports have amassed, and the arithmetic truth revealed anomalous peaks. In its aftermath, calls, letters, and recordings trickled in. Fragments of testimony that, taken together, sketched the outline of something vast, irregular, and yet to be explained. And so it would happen that a private letter reached the office of Dr. J. Allen Hynek at the Center for UFO Studies QFOS in Evanston, Illinois. It had been written by a man whose father, back in the Netherlands, had taped a conversation with a woman recounting an unusual encounter she'd had several years earlier in the fall of 1973.
During the flap. The UFO flap, to me, or the humanoid flap or whatever, sounds like a dance you would do. Can you do the humanoid flap? Flap, flap. Do the humanoid flap. I mean, something like that.
Familiar with the work being done at QFOS, the Sun summarized the case and mailed the letter to Hynek, believing it might still be relevant to ongoing research into close encounters. The letter was passed along to David Webb, who had previously compiled the report. 1973, Year of the Humanoids. Although the case had not surfaced during the original wave of investigations,
Year of the humanoids. Yeah. Like, I don't know. What I think of, I can't help but think of like Suitmation when I think of the 70s, humanoids in the 70s, because that's what I mean. If someone was going to hoax something like this, that's what they would do, is use like some like weird costumes, right? Like weird suits. Because you think about like the 70s and the kind of movies that were coming out. You had like, of course, in like Japan, you had like the kaiju, you know, the big rubber suit monsters. And then you had, I guess it was later into the 70s, but you had like Alien, like Stan Winston's designs, or Geiger's designs and Stan Winston's designs put together, I guess would be a better way to describe it. So it was a great time for suitimation, but when you describe this one, I don't know. We'll see.
David noted its similarities to other reports from that same period and included it in his second edition, which was published in 1976. In February 1978, Dutch UFO researcher Dewey Bosca returned to the Netherlands after spending a year working at QFOs. During his final months there, he had focused heavily on cases involving close encounters and came across a fascinating case featured in Webb's book, one that had originated in his home country. Once back home, he felt it was time to take a closer look at what he considered the most intriguing close encounter reported in the Netherlands. From March to July, Dow conducted several interviews with the witness in this case, aged 60. Throughout the notes and documentation, she came across as both serious and reliable. She appeared mentally sound, had no motive to invent the story, and had never once sought public attention. Because of Dow's investigation, the case reappeared in the media 5 years after it occurred. In the press, the witness was referred to by the pseudonym Saskia Vermeulen. Many journalists reached out to speak.
Yeah. There's a lot of preamble to this, but yes, now I'm picturing a kaiju era Uden monster. Yeah. They got like flappy ear things.
With her. Several of them later stated that they never doubted the witness's honesty or integrity. Now that she is no longer living, those familiar with her case regard it as fitting to name her openly Anne Dolphine.
Yeah, how do you appear mentally sound? Because I bet I appear mentally sound to people, and it's like, nope. Do you appear mentally sound, Fox?
Let's go back to where it all began for her. Anne leaned in, pressing her nose to the glass, trying to figure out what on earth she was looking at. The robes reminded her of something like monks' habits, long and white, hanging all the way down to their oddly oversized shoes. Their faces were completely covered by white hoods that seemed to be part of the robes themselves. At the top...
They look kind of like bunnies, too, though. You think that's why I added this to the list. I was like, I like these bunny men. Let's put them on the show. Oh, they're so cute. And one of them has like a little floor vac.
The hoods rose into two soft points that drooped down over each shoulder like strange fabric horns. Around their waists they wore belts, and dangling from them were what looked like tools or instruments, glinting in the bright moonlight. The two figures in front, walking side by side, couldn't have been more than a meter tall, Anne guessed. The one trailing just behind them was a little taller, but what really struck her was the way they moved. Their feet never left the ground. Instead, they slid forward in a slow, shuffling motion, almost like they were gliding. Their legs stayed completely stiff.
Shuffling and gliding are, to me, are like antipodal. Gliding, you're just like whoosh. Where shuffling, you're like. So like they're like the opposite type of description. You can't. How do you glide and shuffle at the same time? At least across the ground, I could see how you could glide and shuffle in the sky. You could like just be doing the shuffle movement while you glide through the sky, but on the ground, yeah. Anyway,
and it made her wonder if they even had knees at all. One of the figures in front was holding something in its hands. The closest thing she could compare it to was an old-fashioned carpet sweeper, like a clunky vacuum cleaner from decades past. As they moved along,
that doesn't look like that. Looks like a manual vacuum cleaner, the one with the little brush that moves as the wheels turn, the brush turns, and that's all it does. Is what they describe it. I'd have been happier with something with like big hoses and give them some like Ghostbuster backpacks with big hoses and stuff. But they're only a meter tall, so they're little bitty. Why is the Dutch KKK so small though, Sumami? Why are they so short? Is it composed completely of children? They're a meter tall.
Moved the object slowly from left to right and back again over the sidewalk, covering several stones with each sweep, as if scanning it like a metal detector. Anne felt uneasy watching them from the window. Something about the scene set her on edge, but she didn't want to wake her husband. His heart wasn't strong, and the shock might be too much for him.
Your husband's going to get killed by seeing bunny men? Little bunny men outside vacuuming?
So she stood there in silence and kept watching. 5 long minutes went by. Then, all of a sudden, one of the figures looked up and spotted her. It seemed to turn to the others and say something. Without hesitation, the group spun around and shuffled off at surprising speed, disappearing behind a nearby school building. Anne stayed at the window a while longer, peering down the empty street, hoping, or maybe fearing, that there might be more to see. But there was nothing.
What this reminds me of is Killer Clowns from Outer Space for some reason. You know, like that scene where they're like the whole parade of clowns is walking down the street with their little cotton candy guns, blasting everybody they see, and they got a big parade. That's what it reminds me of. Don't glide across the floor. Like and share the stream instead. Exactly, my unfinished sock. If you think something is amiss, your senses might be on alert, whatever something is truly amiss, or whether something is truly amiss or not. Yeah, it you can prime your brain to be prepared for especially when you wake up in the middle of the night and see unusual stuff, right? You're going to be like, what the hell was that, right? When you see people walking out, because to her it's the middle of the night. To these guys, it's probably their early morning shift or something. It seems as if it said to the others, "Do you think she has carrots?" Yeah, she said, "What's up, Doc?" Or it said, "What's up, Doc?"
Still buzzing with adrenaline, she rushed back to the bedroom, deciding after all to wake her husband and tell him what she had seen. But just as she stepped into the room, something outside the window caught her eye. The window that looked out over the backyard and the street beside the house. There, hovering just above the sidewalk about 40 meters away, was a glowing red ball. Anne estimated it to be about 2 to 2.5 meters across, wide enough to stretch over the full width of the pavement. The light it gave off reminded her of a setting sun, but far too bright to look at directly. Her husband, now awake, asked what time it was. Anne turned to check the clock radio. 5 to 2:30, she said. When she looked back at the window, the red ball had vanished without a trace. Shaken.
Seeing that to me sounds like seeing someone's like brake lights. Like maybe a work truck. If he dies, he dies. Yeah. Tell your husband about the bunny men. She said, "Fuck it, I'll take the risk. The bunny men are too good to miss." If he dies. Sumami, if you see bunny men outside of our apartment, you have every reason to wake me up and say, "Hey, there's bunny men outside." Also, you should come see me in El Paso while I'm here. I don't know how much longer I'm going to be here, at least till November, but we'll see what happens after that. But yeah, so we can go out to the desert.
She told her husband everything. The strange little figures out front, the glowing orb in the back. There was nothing more they could do, so eventually they tried to get back to sleep.
Right? It was 2:25. Why 5 to 2:30? That's a weird way to put it.
The next morning, Anne went to the local police station and reported the entire incident, hoping someone else had seen something similar that night. A year passed, and Anne still had not received any explanation from the police. Frustrated but still searching for answers, she decided to share her story with someone she trusted, a friend named Bob Muyen who was open to this kind of experience. As it happened, Bob's son Edmund had a deep interest in the UFO phenomenon. He immediately recognized the importance of what Anne had seen.
This is not in the U.S. Uden. Where is Uden? I had it up on the map. Hold on. Uden is in the Netherlands. You want to look at it? We can look at it. I don't know her location, but we can look at where the city is. So, you all know I can't resist pulling up a map. So, it's right there in the Netherlands. What's the section called down here? Is this Holland? I don't know. I know it's divided. The Netherlands is divided into different sections, but yeah. This is Uden. It's a pretty sprawly little village, but very. I mean, this is what it looks like now too. You got to keep that in mind. Very well kept little village. Everything's so proper. I know I shouldn't use a British accent when I'm talking about the Netherlands. I like how tidy everything is, though. Very nice. Very nice. And look at that. All right, so back to the video.
Edmund wrote an open letter describing the encounter and was the one to send it to the Center for UFO Studies in Illinois, known as QFOS. The story caught the attention of researcher David Webb, who later included it in his book, Year of the Humanoids.
Ooh, you know what? Thank you for... I need to put this on the map, too. Hold on. We're saving it because finally getting... It's so rare now that I have... things outside of the UK and the US. I'm like so Western world centric. Look at this. So like South America, the entire continent of South America probably has less marks in it than the state or than the city of New York. Well, maybe not, but yeah. But there's it's just it does demonstrate. Well, you know why I focus a lot is Illinois, too, because I know a lot of Illinois cryptids and Missouri cryptids, because that's the way I grew up. Well, there's this, like, strip right here from Ohio to Missouri of just cryptids all up and down. Follow these two rivers, the Ohio River and the Mississippi River, and then their confluence all the way down to Louisiana, full of weird cryptid sightings. And swamp gas, apparently.
1976. As mentioned earlier, the book focuses entirely on humanoid sightings that took place around the world in 1973. Anne's experience fit that pattern. It was remarkable, and the story was far from over.
Remarkable?
The year 1973 was an important one in the history of UFO research for several reasons. It was a year marked by a notable humanoid flap, a term...
Humanoid flap! Flap, flap, can you do the humanoid flap? It's a dance I invented. Now we all have to do the humanoid flap.
Used in ufology to describe a sudden rise in reports involving unidentified aerial phenomena, particularly those including descriptions of beings or occupants. The word flap, originally a military...
I'm going to let him flap on for a minute while I go grab my stuff. I'll be back in just like a second.
...expression for a period of disorganization or heightened alert was adopted by UFO researchers to designate clusters of sightings that depart significantly from average reporting levels. Unlike wave, which implies a more rhythmic or external force, flap retains the connotation of a collective disturbance, a spike in both observation and attention that defies easy causality. What makes the concept of a flap analytically rich is its irregularity. Whether one sees UFOs as physical craft or as psychological and cultural phenomena, the question remains, why should reports amass in certain periods and not others? If they are evidence of structured visits, one might expect continuous surveillance. If they are misperceptions or symbolic expressions, one might anticipate a steadier rate of occurrence. Yet the data shows something else. Sharp increases over short intervals, geographically and temporally bounded. The fall of 1973 was such a time, famously documented by David Webb, whose report, 1973, Year of the Humanoid.
You ran fast, you ran for long enough about your flap. Your flap. Look at these donuts, though. Nom nom. These are like handmade. I'm excited to eat some, so I had to go grab them. Did I have a straw? Oh, there it is. Anyway, so I got some coffee. I just don't ever know when to make coffee, because sometimes people buy me coffee on the treat stream thing, but I don't want to go without. I went without last weekend because I wasn't sure how things were going to unfold. What are you barking at that towel? You barking at a towel, really? Come on now. He's so silly. I love that little puppy, though. I love him. The whole New Madrid region is flooded with supernatural happenings. Proof of Zarahemla, right? It all comes together. And 90% of South America ones are just from the Zarahemla video, right? It's almost like mass delusions exist or something. Yeah. And then I do think sometimes people genuinely do see flying saucers or other unidentified shit, but I think it's done on or it's drones or aircraft from our own government. Yeah, they're a good example of that is the black triangles. For like decades, people would see all these black triangles flying around in the sky that were silent and zooming really fast, and they were stealth bombers. I mean, you've seen the black stealth bombers. Yeah, that's what it was. That people were seeing. They had to test them and get them all ready to go, and they had to keep it top secret so they couldn't report it. And voila, you have black triangle reports. I think we're going to see similar things with a lot of these drones and stuff that we've seen, like the giant drone flap in New Jersey we had recently. That was a flap, and it was it's come out later that this was government and private contractor testing for drones, for commercial drones, and they weren't allowed to say anything about it because of contract discrepancy, I guess. But since MAGA thought it was a good talking point, they hammered it out and made it into a big conspiracy that didn't need to be, like they do with everything else. All right, back to the flap.
Compiled dozens of detailed encounters, many involving small entities in strange garments. It was also in late 1973 that the Center for UFO Studies, CUFOS, was established under the leadership of astronomer Dr. J. Allen Hynek.
Say what you want about the 4TN community, but they have the coolest, I keep want to say anagrams. Is it anagrams? It's not anagrams. The reason I can't think of it is because I'm trying to think of it, but yeah, like CUFOs and MUFOs and...
Served as a scientific consultant to the U.S. Air Force during Project Blue Book, Hynek had become convinced that serious study of the phenomenon required a dedicated...
Acronym, thank you. I don't know why I always get anagram in my head and I can't think of acronym ever. Appreciate you, Fox.
Interdisciplinary effort. CUFOS brought together physicists, psychologists, sociologists, and other researchers, most of which had previously operated informally as the Invisible College. A loosely connected group of professionals exchanging findings and hypotheses out of public view. The founding of CUFOS was both a response to the pressing need for systematic investigation and a formalization of a research network that had already been quietly active. It marked a shift from casual speculation to organized inquiry during a year when reports surged and the questions only grew more complex. To support its investigative efforts, CUFOS launched a 24-hour toll-free hotline for UAP sightings in the U.S., which received 443 reports in its first year. By the following...
But if you listen to a lot of the reports and stuff, you have people calling about stuff that's clearly airplanes, stuff that's clearly the planet Venus. Remember when we had the CIA stuff that unfolded, right? Well, the CIA released all this UFO or UAP... footage or whatever, and it's like, oh, this is clear proof that aliens exist. even though like the flashing lights are following the FFA regulations on how they have to blink and stuff.
Following year, the FBI was directing field offices and local police to forward witness calls directly to CUFOs and encouraged placing the hotline number beside switchboards. This collaboration deepened when the FBI Law Enforcement Bulletin published Hynek's article, The UFO Mystery, in February 1975, offering guidance on how law enforcement could assist CUFOs in conducting systematic investigations. According to an internal FBI memo, the notable debunker Philip J. Klass contacted the Bureau to object to the decision to feature Hynek's article, doing so in strong terms laced with sarcasm. The FBI representative who received the call defended Hynek as a reputable scientist affiliated with a respected university. Klass reportedly scoffed, "He won't be for long." To be involved with UFOs in the 1970s meant dealing with contact and abduction. The field was no longer limited to lights in the sky or distant objects. CUFOs, though initially focused on observational cases, could not entirely avoid this shift, despite Hynek's personal discomfort. In the August 16, 1976 issue of People magazine, when asked how he regards abduction and contactee accounts, Hynek replied, "Frankly, I quite strenuously avoid them. I'm almost..."
Remember when the Mexican government presented alien corpses demonstrating the miracle of cake-based biology? Oh yeah, I remember that video. Someone made a cake at the... That was like made out of llama parts, though. The real alleged alien. It was like someone's taxidermy made out of llama parts. Isn't that crazy? Or it's a bird and you can see the wings flapping. Yes, Dave. Exactly. Yeah, there's ones that are very clearly birds. It's like, oh, we don't know what this is. They just can't say for sure that this is a bird if they aren't 100% sure that it's a bird. So they can't say it's a bird, but, you know, you can tell it's a bird. So then it goes in the UFO or the UAP file for unidentified flying object. And I had that video of them guys getting excited about targeting a bird. They were just excited about how well their equipment was targeting the bird.
Most embarrassed by the reports. None of those people have ever been able to produce anything reliable. It's junk, junk, junk. The legacy after Hynek is complex. With his passing, the effort to institutionalize UAP research through CUFOs faded from public view and remained scattered. In many ways, the field circled back to where it had started. Networks, informal exchanges, and a return to something resembling the old invisible college. Where once information moved through private correspondence and closed-door meetings, it now circulates across blogs, YouTube channels, podcasts, and social media. The gatekeepers are gone, the archives are open, and anyone can contribute.
Where are the bunny men, though? Why were the bunny men with the vacuum cleaner never seen again?
Authority is less institutional and instead performatively dispersed. Now a networked culture, still seeking patterns.
You need
still
to bring this
interpreting
back
the
to my
unexplained.
sweeper guys.
In 2019, the Andolphine case came back into circulation.
Okay.
Not through academic
Finally.
channels or formal investigation, but through a blog post.
Ooh, hold on. Hold on.
Not through academic channels or formal investigation, but through a blog.
Do we have map? Hold on. We're going to do this. Okay. I'm going to do it over here, though, so I can look at this while I'm pinpointing it. So we got the corner of Hofstücken and Ram. I guess that's how you pronounce them. It doesn't matter if I'm pronouncing them right, as long as I'm spelling them right. Hofstücken. Come on, let's find it. Where is... Well, if I can just find one of the streets, I can find the other one. Alright, so there's Ram. There's Oh. Because we'll be able to stand down there in just a minute if I can find this. But I don't know. I don't know. Oh. Okay, I get it now. I get it now. Okay, we're here. Okay, so we're just upside down. Got to see the building. I see this building right here. So let's do it. Let's go in. Let's go into the sweeper territory. You ready? Womp womp. Alright, so we're here. And let's see. So then we would need to... Okay, so we're kind of... So... if we look... That's that big building, right? So I guess we need to drop down more up that way. Yeah, there we go. Ramen Hofsteken. All right. Is that the big building? These roads are so tiny. Look at that. Look how tiny that little road is. So this is like apartment areas now. Let's see. Now that we're standing right about here. So if we look down Rom, which way though? This way or that way? Must be this way because it's the only way it goes straight. What, I can't go down that road? Why not? Interesting. Anyway. Yeah, we'll get back to the video. But... oh, hold on. First I want to mark that intersection. I want to move my Uden marker. And we'll do it at... I guess we can do it at this place. Vatterall charging station. That's fine. Marked. And now, when we zoom out and reorient, now we have it marked specifically where we want to go. All right. Cool, cool. All right. Awesome. Awesome sauce.
Post. In Bram Rose's hands, the case became more than a forgotten Dutch encounter.
Adding baby to a club sandwich. Cannibals. The funniest thing is that they largely don't even use the term UFO anymore. And yeah, UAP is what they say. I live near both an Air Force base and an Army proving ground, so it's no surprise the UFO reports are rampant here. Yeah. Remember when... oh, that's the alien cake thing. Hold on. If I was better at decorating, I would bring a baby cake to the ARC protest. The gatekeepers are gone, but the evidence is still not good, right? Yeah, you take away the gatekeepers and it's still like, yeah. Adding baby to the club sandwich now. Yeah, you get that sandwich.
His blog post reframed it as a key fragment in the larger mosaic of 1973. One of many sightings that blurred the line between the local and the global, the credible and the dismissed. Drawing on Dua Bozga's original fieldwork, Rosa didn't just retell the event. He recontextualized it, threading it through the questions that still haunt UAP
when did they
research.
walk up? When did they walk up the walls? When did this happen in the story? I don't remember that. I think I would have remembered her mentioning something like that.
Visualized it, threading it through the questions that still haunt UAP research. What counts as evidence? Who gets to decide? Mr. Rosa, original founder of UFO Meldpunt Nederland, has always had a strong interest in UAP cases, especially those originating on Dutch soil. Since learning about the Anne Dolfijn case, it has stayed with him, and he has taken notice whenever it has been treated carelessly or misrepresented. On his blog, he writes about one
Dutch soil would be a cool band name. You have to be from the Netherlands, though. But yeah, it'd be a cool band name.
Incident. In 1973, the book UFOs Over the Low Countries by Hans van Kampen was published. It included a brief reference to Anne's experience, but presented the story in a way that distorted key details. The account appeared to be exaggerated, possibly in an effort to undermine the credibility of J. Allen Hynek, who had included the case in his database of close encounters. Van Kampen wrote, for example, that Anne had seen a flying saucer in her garden, that it seemed to be operated by small figures in spacesuits who were busy collecting soil samples, and that the figures eventually entered the craft before it disappeared in a flash of light.
That's a weird interpretation for sure. That's how these things happen, though. That's how not how these encounters happen. That's how the contagion of sightings happen. You know, someone will take like the Mothman sightings, for instance. You know, we talk about, and we've talked about before, how the owls do that pose in the dark with their eyes glowing and look like a big winged monstrosity if they're sitting on a stump or a fence post or something like that. But someone will take that and they'll say, oh, they saw a winged humanoid, and just leave it at that. They won't say, oh, they saw a form in the darkness with glowing eyes, or reflective eyes. They'll say glowing eyes, things like that.
To Mr. Rosa, this kind of portrayal did not align with the original account. It seemed to trivialize both the witness and the investigation. In 1984, a man named Mr. Moss wrote a letter to the Journal of the Study Group for Unusual Aerial Phenomena, known as SVL. He had recently read Van Kampen's version and felt the need to respond. Mr. Moss had followed the case closely for years and believed that reports like this should be kept factual, because otherwise, they risk becoming distorted or sensationalized. In his letter, he also offered a possible explanation for what Anne may have seen. Mr. Moss shared a memory from when he had moved into a newly built neighborhood, where many of the streets were still unpaved. One night, a van from the Gasuni pulled up, and a group of men got out, each with tools hanging from their belts. They were carrying a device that looked exactly like a man.
They don't have bunny ears. How do they not have bunny ears? That's an important part of the story.
Floor sweeper, just like the one Anne had described. The men shuffled slowly through the sand along the houses, sweeping the device across the ground. When Moss asked what they were doing, one of them explained that they were checking for gas leaks in the newly laid pipelines. The work had to be done at night, he said, because lower gas usage meant higher pressure in the pipes, making leaks easier to detect. The SVL never followed up on the story, but another UFO research group, Nobavo, took the lead.
But what if they wore bunny suits while they checked for gas leaks? Is there any record of that? Did the gas company ever require their employees to go out with like hoods and stuff?
Potential in the explanation, and reached out to the regional gas supplier, Obragas, for more information. Unfortunately, by that time,
you tell them birds they have to be faster, Sumami. If they don't want to lose their nuts to the squirrels, they're going to have to get down there and get them.
It was already 1985, and the company had to admit that all documentation older than 10 years had been destroyed. So there was no way to confirm or rule out whether a gas leak inspection had taken place. Bram Rosa considered this proposed explanation plausible in certain respects. The timing matched, as did the presence of tool belts and a device resembling a gas detector. In that regard, the theory appeared to align with elements of the original witness account. However, Mr. Rosa also noted that the explanation failed to address
those look like the same guys.
Several core aspects of the case. It offered no clarity regarding the unusual clothing, the small stature of the figures, their peculiar movement, or the presence of the glowing orb.
All right. Theory time. The gas company was hiring children, and because they were doing child labor, they wanted to hide the identity of their employees. So they made them dress in little gowns and hoods. Double, and they didn't want to be. They wanted to make sure they were disguised, but they didn't want them to be. They didn't want them to be mistaken for the KKK. So they put two horns instead of the one, so that they could distinguish themselves from the Klan. And that's.
In 1980, Hans van Kampen published another UFO book, Spooklicht, and once again returned to the case of Anne Dolfine. This time the account was considerably more solid, as it was based on a report by Douwe Boske, who, as we know, received the story firsthand. Van Kampen also offered a new explanation: a carnival. In the Netherlands, the carnival season officially kicks off on the 11th of the 11th at 11 minutes past 11. Around this date, the local Prince Carnival is also inaugurated, which in places like Brabant can lead to some pretty lively celebrations. So it's not out of the question that 3 costumed partygoers, possibly a bit tipsy, stumbled through a residential neighborhood in the middle of the night. Maybe it was even the newly appointed Prince.
I've done that during Mark Twain days myself. Not in costume. Was I in costume? I know they have a steampunk thing down there, but I don't think I was in costume the night that I got stumbled drunk and went roaming around the town at night. Yeah.
Carnival with 2 of his attendants from the Council of 11. And yes, according to Bram, that's a real thing. One of the most recognizable parts of the Prince Carnival's costume is his hat. In large parades, it's usually a tall, pointed cap made of blue velour with long pheasant feathers. But in smaller local groups, the hat is often simpler. Plain white, usually made of felt or fabric rather than velour.
Well, look
and
at
instead
that.
of standing straight up, it droops to the side, a bit like a traditional jester's cap. The prince also carries a ceremonial scepter, so if someone saw him walking a little unsteadily, they might have mistaken the scepter for a walking stick.
I mean, really, I think this kind of settles it to me. I mean, looking at these gentlemen here, especially these 2 in the front, and then reading the description that the woman had, and then the fact that they were carrying a scepter.
That hard to imagine. Or maybe it was just a group of kids, heading home unusually late from a costume party, and afraid of being recognized and reported, took off running. But even so, as Rosa points out, that doesn't explain the glowing red orb in the garden. So calling it a case
So that's like there's like two different levels of scrutiny that we need to have for each of those things, right? And we can have independent explanations for each of them that don't correlate with one another. And because her brain was already primed when she saw the red light outside her window, which again, this is a very this isn't like a rural area. This is very, very residential. There's a lot of people here, in miles in every direction, for miles and miles in every direction. There's houses and people and homes, and people work all sorts of shifts and do all sorts of stuff late at night. Once you go to bed, your neighbors are not all in bed at the same time as you are, even if it seems like they are. People get up to shit in the middle of the night. People go to work in the middle of the night. People come home in the middle of the night from work. And if you saw brake lights out your window after seeing the Bunny Men, because it doesn't matter where your garden is here. There's no location at this intersection for any of these houses where it's not possible that someone's brake lights were reflecting into their window. It's just not like their gardens are very small here. And again, this is modern. This isn't the 70s, right? But I can't see a single place where if someone was hit, like, you got to think in the middle of the night, those red lights are going to reflect off any light-colored building. So even if her house is right there, right, and there's no direct line of sight to the street, which there must have been because You know, she had her sighting, but I disregarded. But these lights would refract all the way down through here. Yeah. All right. The only time I stumbled through the neighborhood drunk was I was carrying a tray of banana bread. I dropped some and I was smart enough not to attempt to bend over and retrieve it. Oh, goodness. Okay. Yeah. Well, I've stumbled through a lot of neighborhoods drunk. I've run full tilt through a lot of neighborhoods drunk, too. I've clotheslined myself on a literal clothesline by my throat running through a neighborhood drunk and had a big cut across my throat for like 2 weeks. Left a little bit of a scar in places. Running full tilt into a clothesline is it feels and it looks exactly how it sounds. I wish somebody had recorded me doing it so I'd have a video of it. It was pretty rough. Good morning, Nancy. Yeah, for those who don't know, I was talking about it in Chris's stream the other morning, but I did a sit down with Nancy and Patty on what day was that? I don't know. It was a couple days ago, but we sat down and we talked about biblical cryptids and cryptids from the Bible, cryptids influenced by the Bible. We got all kinds of crazy, and they're getting that all cut up and it'll be ready in a couple weeks to view. So be on the lookout for that. But yeah, let's get back to this because we need to figure out what this red light in her backyard was.
Of mistaken identity wasn't enough to close the file. Too many details remained unexplained, and
like
the report
what?
Didn't neatly fit into any one category. And we must.
The red light outside the window was the least phenomenal of the phenomena. The bunnyman was the big thing, and I think that we've kind of blown the lid off that with the festival goers.
Remember, 1 month after Anne Dolphine's original sighting, a similar incident took place in Vilvoorde, Belgium.
Is it another bunny man? It better be another bunny man.
It was a 28-year-old man who, like Anne, got out of bed in the middle of the night to use the bathroom. It was 2 a.m. As he walked toward the toilet, he heard strange metallic sounds coming from outside. And
Do I need to go over the hypnopompic state? Do I need to do... That should be that part of the humanoid flap. Is the hypnopompic state. Because a hypnopompic state is where you like wake up but your brain's... You're awake but your brain's still dreaming. And it's what causes things like sleep paralysis and what causes people to experience like... when I experienced it, I've told this story a million times on this channel. I'm sure y'all are sick of hearing about it, but I used to get hagged when I was working overnights. When I'd stay home on the weekends and try to go back to a normal sleeping schedule, I would get hagged. And that's where, or hag-ridden is sometimes what they call it. But when you're sleeping and you wake up with sleep paralysis and you have a feeling that there's somebody in the room with you, and then they climb up on your chest and start suffocating you. And I could see like a shadowy figure and everything because I was in a hypnopompic dream state. And this happens to like alien abductions, right? Always someone waking up in the middle of the night, a ghostly encounter. You wake up in the middle of the night and the ghost is standing by your bed. The aliens are standing over you. You know, before aliens, it was fairies standing over you. It's a state of mind where your brain builds constructs in your actual physical space like it does in dreams. Really, really cool thing that it's doing there, but it's horrifying because of the because you're inferring this is really physically here, and it horrifies you, and you can't move because you're still asleep technically, so that makes it even worse. But this rolls over into a different facet here when you talk about things like sleepwalking, though. Because someone who sleepwalks and goes into a hypnopompic state may experience seeing things throughout their home while they sleepwalk.
A green glow filtering through the curtains. When he pulled them open, he saw a figure no taller than a meter walking through his garden.
That's literally Mysterio, the Spider-Man villain. It's just Mysterio. Why is this one green and have a green glow and the other one had a red glow though? Maybe these are rival factions, like the bunny-headed people versus the fishbowl head people on who can vacuum up the most human garden. Maybe they're collecting samples of soil. Maybe they're sweeping up trash. Maybe like humans are filthy. But maybe they're competing factions of intergalactic janitorial services. Yeah. Call Bunny Man Janitorial to get your planet squeaky clean. And then they'll be like, no, fishbowl head cleaning and cleaning supplies is the answer to all your planetary cleaning needs.
Holding an instrument that looked, as you might remember from one of our earlier videos, it looked like a carpet sweeper. Bram Rosa also draws a line from the 2 European cases to a third, lesser-known report from across the Atlantic.
All right, we're going to mention how fabulous his sparkly outfit is before we move on from this.
In November 1973, a similarly strange encounter occurred in Quebec, Canada. On the evening of Sunday, November 8th.
And we also need to... I've decided now the humanoid flap is going to be the official dance of the Hive. We got to come up with the dance moves for it. Like, can you do the human? Get back so you can see my hips a little bit. Can you do the humanoid flap? You shake your butt, because there's got to be butt shaking in it. So we'll come up with more dance moves to it. We'll brainstorm it. We'll let it stew.
18th, 4 young women were driving from Sorel-Tracy toward Montreal. Just past Sorel-Tracy, a glowing orb appeared in the sky ahead of their car. After they caught up with it, the orb seemed to follow them all the way toward their destination. But long before reaching Montreal, they and other drivers passed through a strange pink...
Almost sounds like the orb was a star.
...mist, hovering just above the road surface. As they exited the fog, they saw a small figure shuffling across the white lines between the lanes, seemingly undisturbed by the passing traffic. The figure appeared to be sweeping the road with, you might have guessed it, what looked like a carpet sweeper.
Where's his rabbit ears? Where's Fishbowl Head? Is this the
Further
Fishbowl
along,
people?
they saw a car in a ditch on the roadside, and a bit beyond that, 3 black-clad figures standing beside a stationary vehicle. This incident was featured...
How is that anything other than them... Excuse me. How is that anything other than seeing... Yeah, throw money at me when I dance for you, people. Come on. I work hard to get this little hard tummy. Ooh, I gotta move over here so you can see it. It's not actually that hard. It's got a little bit of oomph to it, so I can do some belly dancing. I need to learn to belly dance. That'd be sexy. You know, how is this anything other than them witnessing someone helping someone else with a flat tire with a old timey jack, like you know, one of the ones that you roll and push into the car and crank up. Because that's what it sounds like to me. It sounds like they saw somebody run across the road and they saw people standing around a car accident.
Featured in Claude McDuff's 1975 book, Le Procès des Soucoupes Volantes, where it was presented as a genuinely extraterrestrial event, in essence because of the solitary nature of the figure. Roadwork, after all, is typically done in teams. But in the English summary by John Brent, published in UFO, Occupants and Critters, the author leans toward skepticism.
Thank
Brent
you,
noted that
Dave.
he had often seen highway workers alone on stretches of road near Alberta, while their colleagues worked farther along. Still, due to the lack of solid information about the small figure, the strange pink mist, and the UFO itself, the case has never been resolved.
Pink mist or gray mist lit by pink road flares? Ooh, by red road flares. What? Is that possible? Does that happen? And there's a car on the side of the road and another car pulled over with people outside, sitting outside of it. There's somebody walking around with a thing that has a stick and is rolling on the ground. Sounds like you witnessed people helping their friend change their tire. That's what it sounds like to me. Do the humanoid flap, flap, flap.
Tell me, what do you think? Bram Rosa asks his readers, pointing to what he calls a near-simultaneous triptych. 3 eerily similar close encounters reported within a single month in 1973.
How are they eerily similar? Those are bunny men. Those are fishbowl head people.
Each case features at least one small figure, active at night, wielding an object uncannily like a carpet sweeper.
And that's a homie with
Rosa
a jack.
considers the usual explanations.
So, the only thing these guys have in common, well, is that they shop with us, or they carry similar hardware.
Could it be coincidence? Possibly. Could it be 3 people who had similar dreams? That, too, is conceivable. But mass hysteria? Unlikely. These stories didn't emerge from group
Thank you, Ember. I'm not in a chair. I'm dancing in front of my chair. Ooh, 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 ooh. My microphone kind of gets in the way, though.
settings or shared media. For Rosa, no single explanation accounts for all the details. The shared specificity across continents and the timing suggests something harder to dismiss. In an interview featured in the Dutch lifestyle magazine &C, Bram Rosa reflects on his approach to UFOs and why he continues to document sightings in the Netherlands. Known for running the website UFO Zaken and Dutch UFO Reporting Center, Rosa positions himself somewhere between researcher and advocate, grounded, but open to possibilities beyond current frameworks. The most popular hypothesis for UFOs is extraterrestrial visitation, and that's possible, he says. But personally, I'm more inclined to think it's something we don't understand at all.
It's probably something much, much more mundane than extraterrestrials, unfortunately.
Yet. Something completely unknown to us with our current scientific knowledge. Natural phenomena, government technologies, beings from another dimension. Or maybe it's us, coming from the future. Rosa also speaks to the lack of institutional support or community in the Netherlands for people who've had encounters. Aside from my reporting center, there really isn't a UFO community in the Netherlands where people come together to talk about what they've seen. There are people who are interested, mostly those who've had their own experiences, but they don't gather to share their sightings. I like to stand up for these people, especially when they're ridiculed for their stories. He describes his 2023 documentary, The UFOs of Soesterberg, as an effort to change that narrative.
Yeah, UFO stories are fun, but put them on the same level of credibility as ghost stories. Well, I think it's all ghost stories and UFO stories for the most part. I shouldn't say it's all. I think a lot of them are just misidentification of different phenomena in the brain. I often tell people this, like, your brain doesn't remember things, right? Like in the way that you think it does. It doesn't record the event. It rebuilds the event every time you try to recall it. Your brain uses the same I don't call it engine, but yeah, the same system that it does to build dreams to rebuild your memory. And that rebuilding process can be influenced by external factors that make you remember the events differently. Your brain is a lot like an AI engine that way. Like, you know, you can type in the same command, and you type in a command in an AI and you get like 4 different images. It's like you're typing in the command into your brain, and one of those images will be what pops up.
The documentary spotlights a 1979 sighting in which 12 airmen at a Dutch airbase reported seeing a massive, silent, triangular craft. The Air Force dismissed it as a mirage, Rosa explains. They were all outraged by
triangular craft? A black triangle? Well, that sounds a lot like a stealth bomber.
that.
Hadden ze over lichten. Lichten die in een bepaald patroon van elkaar zich voortbewoog boven de startbaan. Eén militair die zegt, als hij een boek had gehad, had hij in een van die lichten had hij een boek kunnen lezen. Terwijl het 5 uur in de nacht was. Het was in februari, het was stikken donker.
Now, why why a UFO would be over Sosterberg. Or not UFO. Why a stealth bomber would be. I don't know. I imagine they flew the stealth bombers around the globe, making sure that they could adequately bomb every country in on every continent. So I don't know if that's what happened here. But they wouldn't show up on radar either, which would be like, ooh, spooky.
Want het is natuurlijk frustrerend om te vertellen aan de hele wereld van... ik heb wat gezien, ik ben niet gek... en met mij nog 11 andere collega's we hebben het allemaal gezien... maar jullie geloven ons niet. What if?
So now tell us. You are the invisible college, watching, reading, remembering, and keeping the questions alive. Much
You hear that, Hive? We're the invisible college.
like those who join in the comments beneath Bram Rosa's blog post. One woman writes how she saw something with her father 20 years ago. They still don't know what it was, and they don't need to. It's my experience, she writes. Neither of us can explain it, but that's okay. It always leads to interesting conversations. Whether something is real or not isn't for someone else to decide for me, and unfortunately for science, there's no way to ever verify if it was true. But does something unexplained always need to be proven? She ends her post by asking, what makes people so desperate to have a special experience validated? Yes, perhaps we could hold off, if only for a moment, and experience what that feels like. Things do happen. Things that stay with us in ways we've never experienced before.
I kind of like that background right there with the stars. Really works.
Much like Anne, with her nose almost pressing that cold window pane on a moonlit night in the 70s.
Ooh.
That's it for us this time. If you'd like to support the channel, feel free to drop us a thumbs up and tell us what you think about Anne's experience, UFO.
Okay, so again, this channel has a lot of videos that we might revisit. A lot of weird encounters with weird looking entities. Look, this guy's got a can for a head. So, I mean, if you want to see more of this stuff, let me know. I'm really into this. I like weird alien entities and just throwing them into the polls one after another. We could probably just go through and just do all these, but I'd like to mix things up a bit. But it was fun to venture out from the norm, because I had never heard of this sighting before. I was really excited to find it. I love finding new cryptids and new encounters and entities to explore and to investigate their origins. But like, what do you think? Like, do you believe in aliens? Do you think we've been visited by intelligent life from beyond the stars? If so, like, when did this happen? Yeah, are these UFO sightings actually linked to the alien encounters, the extraterrestrial intelligence, if you will? 'Cause, yeah, alien encounters is that, you know, it could be an animal, it could be a fungus that's alien, but if it's an entity walking around with a vacuum cleaner on your street, I'd like a little more evidence than I woke up in the middle of the night and saw it outside my window and then went back to bed. That's weird. That's weird to me. But you let me know. Do you have your own directory of all the cryptids you've come across? So I sort of have, it's sort of a multifaceted documentation of what I've covered. So there's this, which is my world map of where all the cryptids that I've covered, cryptids and other entities, you know, ghosts and aliens and stuff like that, around the globe in the time I've been doing this show, and where they were located at. If there's a location, sometimes there's not. But yeah, we go all over the planet, even Hawaii. Look at that. Now, obviously, I do focus a lot on the U.S. and the U.K. I mean, I have more markers in the UK than South America combined, but you even have some in Antarctica down here. But I'm trying to branch out and cover more global stuff. I do have the stuff I have on the list. I'll put a marker in the Himalayas over here, which is nice because here's a big barren area where there's tons of cryptids at. We haven't even covered. And there is... this is where the Yeti's going to pop in at. And then we have... what else on the list? Beast of Busco, I think, is already marked. I think I already marked it on the map because I talked about it on somebody else's channel. Yep. Here we are. Here's the Beast of Busco. Folk Lake. And then White Lady is a global phenomena. And we added the Beast of Uden on here. Or Uden. But yeah, so we have that. And then with that, I also have the playlist. So we can use that playlist to keep up as well. It's the Cryptic Corner playlist. It has every episode of Cryptic Corner, all the way back to the very beginning, documented, so you can see everything that we've covered on this show. All right, so but I want your all's opinions on this stuff, though. I want to know what you all want to see as far as where we branch out to in Cryptic Corner, and what type of other 14 phenomena we dabble our toes in. So, yeah, put your comments down below. What would you like to see me cover here? What kind of ghosts and cryptids and aliens and demons and all that stuff? What would you like to see unwrapped here? Yeah, leave me some comments. Participate in the polls. It really does. You really do help control the show. So thank you for sticking with us tonight. Until next time, please remember to be kind and take care. All right, live from the Hive audience. Thank you so much for sticking around for Cryptic Corner. There's more show to come. Yeah, for sure. I've got the Fox sisters coming up next, and we got a couple angles we're going to approach this from. So stick around. If you'd like to see me dunk on Joe Rogan, I think a lot of people like to see me dunk on Joe Rogan. So don't go anywhere, because this is just the first intermission. And we will be right back with more show to come. Have I ever covered Skinwalker Ranch? Oh boy. Yeah, I'll talk to you in the comments. But we're going to pop right in now to the intermission. I will be back momentarily.
Ladies and gentlemen, as the Commander-in-Chief of the United States Joint Forces, I am here today to inform you that a number of unidentified flying objects have appeared over many parts of our country. Though their exact origin remains to be fully determined, the FBI has informed me that it is very likely that these are visitors of extraterrestrial nature. I advise the American people to remain calm, not fall into panic, and wait for further announcements. We shall overcome this threat with confidence and vigilance. May God protect our souls.
All right. Hello, my beauties and bees. Thank you for sticking around. And hello, and welcome to This Week in Weird. I've retitled this segment so many times, but I think Week in Weird is what I'm going to stick with, because I don't know if I'm going to keep it on Wednesday, so Weird Wednesdays is not necessarily going to hold up. And then we have the I weird with it thing, but I don't like using somebody else's catchphrase as my show name. I think it's I'd rather come up with my own. So, but just call it Week in Weird, which fits my WIW logo I have for it. So that's what's going to be called for now on. So, we cover a lot of weird stuff here, weird claims. Religious. We cover things like. Recently we covered the Mormon lost city of Zarahemla. We talk about Tartaria. We talk about the flat earth and the ice wall. We talk about time travel here in Week in Weird. We talk about using psychic powers we've talked a lot about psychic powers and mentalist abilities, and I try them all. When I find like magecraft and stuff, I try to do it. Like you all remember the pyrokinesis video. I cut the candle out and I did the pyrokinesis with the person doing it, and was able to get similar results. So voila, I'm willing to do the test. I'm willing to put in the work. I'm willing to bend the spoon. Today, we're talking about spiritualism, which was a movement that began in the 19th century. We're talking about sort of its early roots. It did, it was bolstered by people like John Dee and Edward Kelly, who we talked about previously when we did on a previous episode where we talked about the Enochian language and how John Dee did that whole grift just in order to fuck Edward Kelly's wife, which they did, right? That's what it was all about. So the whole angelic language and the Golden Dawn and all the spin-off religion stuff, Aleister Crowley, all that is based on this grifter's grift to try to screw his friend's wife. So you got to keep that stuff in mind. But the starting point of the spiritualist movement is often considered to be the Fox sisters. And while the Fox sisters are sometimes mostly considered long debunked, there's people who still proponents of them being authentic. One of those people we're going to look at for real quick, we're not going to do the whole show about this, but we're going to look at real quick, is actor, comedian, writer, producer, director, and musician Dan Aykroyd. Now, I like Dan Aykroyd. Dan Aykroyd invented Ghostbusters, and his belief in the paranormal and supernatural is hugely influential to that franchise specifically, and he still works on it to this day when they create new Ghostbusters media. But he has his own kind of take on the Fox sisters.
And they would channel entities from the other side. Have you heard of the Fox sisters and the whole Lilydale thing, the whole mediumship of the concept that, that life lives beyond what we have here? Do you know who John Edwards is, the psychic on television?
Psychic, yeah. Isn't he full of shit?
No, he's
Didn't he get busted?
No, what happened?
I think he got busted with an earpiece.
Well,
Didn't he? See if John Edwards, the psychic, got busted.
He had some maybe, sometimes what happens is they lose their powers and they are unable to.
Or they're full of shit the entire time. They just get slippery.
Or they're full of shit the entire time. Good call, Joe. Sometimes Joe's on point, but most of the time Joe's just a blubbering idiot.
On Edwards, though, I watched the show. I kind of believed him, but
I'm not sure if he was the one that got busted. Mm-hmm. One of those psychics got busted.
Yeah. So
I'd like to sit you across from Penn Jillette.
Of course. No,
you talk to him?
Well, he's an expert debunker of all this stuff. Yeah,
super skeptical.
I would love to. I'd love to have Penn Jillette tell me what he thinks of the Fox sisters. Why they went around the world with a spirit that performed with them. rapping.
What happened?
Well,
Spirit
Oh,
rap.
he doesn't know about the Fox sisters? Oh, Joe, yeah.
A spirit rapped, yeah.
What kind of rapping?
R-A-P, not
Like rapping. Yeah, like,
well,
not like. Yeah. Oh, I thought you
loud,
meant like music.
reverberant rapping. Yeah.
Oh.
No, I'd love to. You know, so
Spirit rapper.
mediumship. That's a very
Ghostface
big
Killer.
thing. Insane Clown Posse, or Slipknot. There we go. But
Slipknot doesn't rap. Well, I mean, I guess he kind of does. He's more like, it's more like, I don't know, it's new metal. I like Slipknot, but Insane Clown Posse does rap.
I believe that the consciousness can survive after death. There's a school called Arthur Findlay College in England, and you can go there and train to be a medium. Why you'd want to, I don't know. It's very exhausting. Can you imagine shutting down your whole system, going into a trance, reaching the other side, having that entity come through the other side, use your body, use your fluids, use everything, and then abandon you?
Why is it using my fluids, Dan? I think I can invite an entity into my body without giving it access to my fluids. How far is Atlantis from Gondor? It's between Gondor and Narnia. Well, beyond, just on the other side of Mordor. So Mordor, on the other side of Mordor is the land of, well, it depends on which direction you go. If you go in east, east, it's going to be like Rune. If you go south, it's going to be Herod. And if you go southeast, it's going to be Kahand. North is more Rune, or the battle plains and stuff too. Anyway, now you got me talking about Lord of the Rings stuff. Hello. Dan believes in all sorts of paranormal stuff. Yeah, I know. Dan's going to be using his fluids to tell us about it.
After, and then just go, it's exhausting. But my family researched mediumship, and I wrote Ghostbusters based upon, it's just our family interest. On the
So, in fairness, I only invite entities into my body to use my fluids, says Ember. That's hot.
The Fox sisters.
So you're all
the Fox
in.
sisters, you should get them up. There's a picture of them, Fox sisters. In 1848, they were lying in bed in their new house near Hydesville, New York, and all of a sudden this kind of rapping started, terrifying them. They thought it was confined just to that house in Hydesville, but they managed to take it around. When they went to Rochester, it happened in houses. When they went to a theater, it happened in front of 300-400 people. And eventually they toured the world with this.
Are hobbit feet bigger or smaller than human feet? I think they're bigger. Like, I have pretty big human feet.
They called it the peddler, and he was someone who was killed and murdered and buried in the house in the basement. There
Is
they
John
are.
Edwards a hoser?
Peter Popoff?
There they are.
John Edwards.
I looked him up. It didn't come up
There
necessarily
they
that
are.
he was.
They were all, and they went around the world.
Dan's like, shut the fuck up. Stop trying to debunk me. I'm trying to tell you stories. Dan's like more of a storyteller than like someone who's going to convince you. And it's probably also a lot because I don't like Joe Rogan, and I'm like, it's funny because usually I'm like, why aren't you fact checking this when he has some idiot chat on there talking nonsense? And now I'm like, why are you fact checking Dan? Just let him tell his story. He's telling a story. I don't know. I'm sure Dan believes it, but
Tipping tables, and
Look at them.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
a drawing. They're not even
Spiritualist-
real people. They never existed.
No, they did. They were, and they were very well scrutinized. Maggie, in the end of her life, said, "No, we were producing these reverberant raps."
Why do they have a head? What is that? Is that them? What the hell is that?
I don't know what
Boy.
that's at. That's out of my realm.
There's something about mean-faced ladies from like the 1800s that scare the shit out of me.
Yeah, there's the cottage. There's
'Cause it
their
was just
little
such
cottage.
a hard time to be alive.
That's the cottage that it occurred in. And, they said it was the ghost of the peddler that was murdered in the basement. And they looked down, they did find some bones, but every time they tried to build the groundwater, dig for the bones, the groundwater kept filling up. Anyway,
I tell you
Maggie,
what, if there was if I thought there was a body buried in my basement, we'd be digging, even if there was groundwater. We'd be digging. And if I did find bones, I would report them to the police.
At the end of her life said, no, we were faking it. I was creating the raps.
Maggie said she was faking it.
Maggie said she was faking it. But she said, I was creating the raps. These reverberated in concert halls with my knees and my knuckles. You know, now I can crack my knuckles, maybe in my knees, but you can't make up.
Them?
They were slaps.
I can pop my jaw. Can you all hear that? I don't know if you can hear it or not. But I could do that in Thick Ghost. I don't know if you can see me doing it, though. I don't know.
Wrappings. And then she recanted it and said, the skeptics, made me do it. I was talked into it. There was so much pressure on me. And in the end of her life, she then recanted her recantation, her retraction of it. But I've
never heard it from the outside. Yeah, that's my jaw. My jaw does that.
That was the origin of spirituality. People were looking for a new religion. You had Mormonism that had come in the 20s. You had all kinds of Protestantism. That area of New York was called the Burnt Over District because the preachers had all been through there. People who were believing in all kinds of different religions. They were looking for something new, and spirituality and spiritualism gave them that. But I've had people contact me that have passed in dreams. I've never seen a ghost. I've never, experienced that. But
and to make that clear, what Dan just said was that he dreams about people who dies, and that's evidence of the afterlife. So, I
do believe that consciousness survives after death. I do believe that.
It's an interesting idea. There's no evidence that it doesn't. I think that reincarnation is also a fascinating concept.
All right. So that was him talking about the Fox sisters on Joe Rogan. But I'm not just going to leave it at that. I found, is this it? No, that's the one I was at before. Hold on. This BuzzFeed Unsolved Network. Now, BuzzFeed, we all know BuzzFeed. This is like 5.37 million subscribers. It's BuzzFeed, right? And they have a woo peddling channel. Or a mystery peddling channel, I should say. And they dive into the Fox sisters in this short video here. So we're going to watch this to learn about them. Have you made your way to Concordia? Is that where you go to put on a woo show? Yeah, if she confessed to faking on her... Yeah, the spiritualist people are like, no, she confessed under duress or whatever, under the pressure of her estate because she was poor and wanted to sell her confession, shit like that. But I don't know. She had a falling out with her sister and shit too. So my index finger clicks. My ankles pop too, but I think it'd be odd. I have to do this big swingy movement and rotating movement to make it do it. So it would have to. It'd be pretty obvious that I was doing it. But I guess back then they wore dresses, so you would never see their ankles. You never see their feet. So they could get away with it because their feet were covered and they could do anything they wanted with their feet. All right, let's roll this beautiful bean footage.
The existence of supernatural forces is not a new debate. Skepticism surrounding both the practice and belief of spiritualism has been long contested throughout the course of time. For most, the Fox sisters may not ring a bell. For others, they are commonly regarded as key figures who contributed to the establishment of the spiritualism movement in the mid-1800s. While they did not start or create spiritualism, their role in its history is one worth exploring. Since ancient times, people from many cultures have tried communicating with spirits and the dead.
I would love to have like a crystal ball and stuff. Pacho Villa's buried there. Also, David Ramirez, the Night Stalker, roamed there.
Mysterious afterlife and the existence of supernatural beings has baffled and intrigued believers and have been challenged by skeptics for as long as we've been asking the question, what happens after we die? For some, the debate isn't whether or not one believes in mediumship, but if it is an act of rebellion against one's religion to practice or participate in it. The term seance derives from the French word for seat or session. It came into popular use in Europe and America in the mid-1800s, during a time when Victorian-era Gothic literature and art were also popular. Victorian-era Gothic fiction often explored the supernatural and spiritualism, or the belief that the dead can communicate with the living. This time also experienced an emergence of several popular figures who were pushing forth a spiritualist and overall mystic agenda.
I will say that, like, when I'm like watching or reading fiction, I am more apt to suspend my disbelief and enjoy a journey into a world where spiritualism is real than I am to interact with and enjoy a world where like a Abrahamic religion is real. The Catholics do go hard with their mythology. I will give them that. Like there's a lot of good movies based in a Catholic universe. The Exorcist is in a Catholic universe. Great film series. What else? I liked the movie End of Days with Arnold Schwarzenegger in it. That's in a Catholic universe. Anything involving like Catholic priests and stuff. The show Evil. I like that show. It takes place in the Catholic universe, but the spiritualist universe, like where Ghostbusters takes place, some of the Conjuring series and stuff like that take place. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Now the Conjuring stuff, they do get kind of biblical, but it's the Warrens. What do you expect?
Such as Franz Anton Mesmer. Mesmer was a German physician who believed that all things, including the human body, were controlled by a magnetic fluid that, when imbalanced, could cause physical and mental ailments. His practice involved waving his hands over his patients' bodies, inducing a mesmerized hypnotic state, which he claimed allowed him to manipulate.
So now you know where the word mesmerized came from. Did you know that before?
The magnetic field and help rebalance their health. Some who were put into a mesmeric trance said that they had visions of spirits during their experience. His theories of the universe also gained popularity in the United States. Those who followed in his footsteps and practiced this were known as mesmerists.
I would love to have a crystal ball and a real Ouija board, like a nice Ouija board, not like a stupid Milton Bradley one, but like a nice one, especially a custom handmade one. I used to have a nice wooden one that was, it was a hand carved, or I shouldn't say hand carved. I carved it with a Dremel tool with a routing bit on it, and then glazed it over smooth. I carved it out, and then I stained the inside with a darker, like almost inky black stain inside the letters, and then I glazed it over. And I made a planchet. I used to work at this welding company, and I made a planchet out of pressed steel. It's really cool, but I don't have it anymore. You put furniture sliders on the bottom of it, though. Maybe that's a project we could do.
Although he lived and practiced long before Mesmer was even born, the philosophies of Swedish mystic Emanuel Swedenborg gained
I want an orgy board too. Yes, I have the Jesus board. You can right underneath that green light. That's what it's like right above. Is my Holy Spirit board where you can actually talk to Jesus himself.
Popularity around the same time. Swedenborg believed in an afterlife of 3 heavens, 3 hells, and one sort of purgatory, which was very similar to Earth. Additionally, Swedenborg claimed that he was able to communicate with spirits existing on every plane. American seer Andrew Jackson Davis, a man the Fox sisters would later cross paths with, also became renowned, in part for combining these two philosophies, saying that Swedenborg's spirit had communicated with him during a series of mesmeric trances.
People are all hooked on your orgy board, Ryan. If you want to see me and Ryan play with the orgy board, you got to subscribe to the OnlyFans account, right? And if you subscribe for at the $100 tier, then we'll have Nancy there too. Yeah. I was disappointed with the orgy board. It didn't know fuck. Ah.
It has been said that the Fox family were no strangers to mediumship, as members of Mrs. Fox's family were believed to have the gift of foresight, frequently predicting events that would come to pass. Margaret Smith married John Fox, who was the son of a blacksmith. The couple had 7 children in total. Their firstborn
And I know a lot of people who are legacy psychics, right? That their grandma knew how to or could do this and had these abilities, and then they pass it down to their mom, and they pass it down to them. It usually does go down a maternal line like that, though, or they'll claim that it does. I don't know if they teach them how. I don't know how it goes down, but the lineage. But people will make that claim. Nancy is holding the wiener planchet. We gotta get, like they have the cookie cutters. They're shaped like wieners. We could actually make a planchet out of a cookie cutter, probably. we need to make the holy orgy board. The holy orgy board. Yeah, next time at one of the gatherings or get-togethers, we can bring that out and put it on the. Put your right cheek here. Put your left tit there. Guys. Oh shit, that's not my mouse. All right.
died in infancy. And before the last 2 children were born, there was a time where Margaret and John separated due to his struggle with alcoholism. John left his family in the 1820s, later returning to his family as a restored man in the 1830s, after having converted to the Methodist Church. It was then that the couple had their last 2 children, Margaret and Catherine, also known as Maggie and Kate, who were 4 years apart. The pair were a part of the trio eventually known as the Fox sisters. In 1848, the Fox family lived in a home in the New York countryside, where the first known reports of strange happenings surrounding the Fox sisters began. Physical phenomena, from knocks to rappings, caused the Fox house to quickly gain a reputation for odd occurrences, which often took place in the presence of Maggie and Kate. Many, including the sisters...
And that happens a lot with, like, poltergeist activity in general. They'll claim, it always affects these young adolescent girls, right? That's part of the folklore around it, is that, or the spiritualist lore around it, is that because of the energy level of a pubescent girl, for the same reason like that you would sacrifice a virgin to a dragon, right? A young girl of a certain category to or that a sacrifice to a god or whatever was this virginal girl that was that had reached sexual maturity, because that was like ooh for the men writing the books. So that always becomes, or the people not even writing the books, telling the story orally or whatever, that's like the purest thing, right? And so the idea that spirits and things like that would be attracted to a young girl kind of spirals out from there. And but the good thing is you can trap the spirits in mirrors, so glad they're showing us that.
Attributed the noises to spirits. One in particular was that of a peddler who was allegedly murdered on the property. The disturbances eventually brought the Foxes to send Maggie and Kate to Rochester to live with their oldest sister Leah, thinking that it would spare the girls from the supernatural pestering, since most believed that it was the house that was causing the phenomena. Rochester, at the time, was a hot spot of reform and religious activities, and quickly learned about the incidences surrounding the Fox girls. Word of supernatural activities continued to spread, drawing people to the cottage to listen to the strange rappings for themselves. As curiosity grew, a group of Rochester residents proposed...
So, we would not, like, when we played with the Ouija board when we were kids, we would never talk to, like, people. that like people who had died or whatever, and like, oh, let's talk to grandma or anything like that. It was always like whoever we can talk to. And it was usually a demon or claimed to be a demon or something like that. I think it's all idiomotor movement now as I'm an adult and looking back at it. But yeah,
to examine the cellar. Their investigation unearthed some baffling evidence. Found in the soil were strands of hair and something resembling bone fragments, supporting the story of a murdered peddler whose spirit, among others, were suspected to be the cause of the phenomena.
Why did he only leave behind hair and bone fragments and not a whole skeleton and clothes and yeah?
Family friends Amy and Isaac Post took notice of the girls' gifts and invited them over to a gathering at their home to see if they were able to communicate with spirits outside of the Fox's own home. The Posts were community leaders in magnetism, or mesmerism, which are physical phenomena resembling hypnotism. In an attempt to communicate with their deceased daughter, Mr. Post put Leah in a trance where they discovered that she too, like Maggie and Kate, had mediumship abilities. The experiment opened up a new avenue of verbal mediumship, allowing for a wider range of communications to be explored.
Please take this off the screen so I can stop.
Isaac Post wrote,
thank you.
I suppose
that metronome captured me and I was like full mantis mode. So the older sister's like, hey, wait a minute. They get special powers? Hell no. I got special powers too. And I'm going to join them. And she was like, I think 13 years older than them. So she was like well into adulthood by the time that Leo was, by the time that all the rest of this was unfolding. And she kind of took the reins of it. She took oh, these are my sisters. I'm going to take them on the road with me and we're going to make money off this.
I went with as much unbelief as Thomas felt when he was introduced to Jesus after he had ascended, but believed in the sister's abilities after hearing very distinct thumps under the floor and several apparent answers,
or even that somebody kept their dog down there and it chewed on a bone. I mean, people did send their dogs down to the cellar at night to sleep. This was a thing country people did. And the dog would have bones down there to worry on. That's yeah.
As well as by Leah's mediumistic abilities. The Post rented out the largest hall in Rochester, big enough to house 400 people who turned up to listen and witness the noises for themselves in the presence of the system.
Yeah, we played the Ouija board as a kid. What an awesome childhood. Yes, my parents were not religious, but they were open to spiritualism and ghosts and things like that. So we did seances at the dining room table. We did have Ouija boards. Now, some kids weren't allowed to interact with us at school because of it. Like they couldn't interact with us at all because at the school my mom was a witch to the people in the town. She still is. I was a witch too. But my sister was not. Kind of weird. So we were really popular at Halloween. We'd have Halloween parties and like dozens of kids would show up to have us do Ouija board communications and stuff like that for them. I don't imagine all the parents knew that that's what we were doing. We had other stuff that we would do too. We did like scrying, automatic writing. We do all that shit. Just using the idiomotor movements to give answers to gaggles of junior high kids. It was a good time. Technically it was a grift, but we didn't really know we were grifting. We were just going with the flow. But yeah, I mean, we could have easily turned into something like this if we had kept it going. Not easily, but I mean, we could have. It would have been me and my brother. But we did not. We decided enough was enough at a certain point and just stopped doing it. Probably because we wanted to try to but probably girl related. We wanted to chase girls and whatnot. So I only did rituals and a little light pyromancy. I said this on one of the psychic episodes. I did do the spoon bending when I was a kid. We would do, the candle pyromancy. I'd do all that stuff. I was weird. We were weird. I'd say me and my brother was right there with me, but...
Sisters. To debunk the skeptics, the sisters were escorted by Mrs. Post to a private room, where they were disrobed and examined by those questioning their authenticity. Nothing was found hidden on their bodies. The sisters were clear of any contraptions or props that might have been used to produce the noises. Much to the critics' dismay, this added credibility to the sisters' abilities, thus weakening any accusations of fraud.
What about when they flap their titties together? I can't know if I can make any sound with that or not. I can still do the thing on my neck, though, when I'm not wearing so many necklaces.
Their live seance caught the attention of seer Andrew Jackson Davis, who would later become known as John Baptiste of modern spiritualism. Davis wanted to witness the Fox sisters' gifts for himself, so he invited them to New York City for a demonstration. It was said that Davis wrote in his diary on the same day the Fox sisters channeled in their bedroom for the first time. About daylight this morning.
I was so excited to do this episode, guys. You have no idea. Since it won the poll, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to find the perfect compilation of stuff to play to... And this turned out okay. Yeah, I like that. I knew I wanted to have Dan Aykroyd, being so pro Fox sisters, because I think that's, he's the most pro Fox sisters person I can think of. And then a more skeptical outline of it, which is what we're watching here.
A warm breathing passed over my face, and I heard a voice, tender and strong, saying, "Brother, the good work has begun. Behold, a living demonstration is born." His support of the Fox sisters not only added momentum to their success, but for the movement as a whole. Accounts of the Fox sisters' career...
Aw, I hope your puppies are doing well. Usually they sleep outside this time of year, but it's too hot. Yeah. It's pretty hot. Well, it's not too bad right now. It's 77 degrees out right now. I'm probably going to change my shirt when I get off of here.
And mediumship varies, but most commonly, it is said that in 1849, Maggie, Kate, and Leah Fox were instructed to give public demonstrations of their mediumship to spread word of spiritualism. By 1850, they began performing demonstrations at a parlor in the Barnum Hotel in New York, with invited and paying guests arriving to watch. Sessions were available at 10 a.m., 5 p.m., and 8 p.m. for a fee of $1 per session. When not conducting during these times, the sisters took private meetings in between. Among these guests were prominent figures from the publishing and newspaper industries, such as editor Horace...
Who wants to do the humanoid flap? It's time. Captive Desk said flap, so... I need to put some music to it, though. I need a humanoid flap song.
Greeley, who was convinced by the experience, delivering reports that essentially endorsed the sisters' authenticity, ultimately boosting their fame. Other notable members of New York society who attended the seances included editor and poet William Cullen Bryant and James Fenimore Cooper, author of The Last of the Mohicans, who fully believed in their abilities. Adding to that list of attendees was abolitionist William Lloyd Garrison, with whom an infamous incident occurred during his session with the sisters. Spirits rapped together, spelling out a message of hope.
And they would mix stuff like this, like palm reading is based on folklore, right? Like what this line and this position means. And it's sort of like, it is sort of like tarot cards, right? You can, the reader can throw in their own interpretation of some of the messages via cold reading, which is, it's cold reading is kind of a light interview where you don't, like, the person being interviewed doesn't even realize they're being interviewed. They're just talking about themselves, and you're just like talking about, yourself and your experiences, and you pick up things and you use those to influence what you see when you gaze into your crystal, when you look at the cards, when you look at their palm. But the palm reading thing is, there is physical lines on your hands, right? That and there is like folklore about those lines and what they mean. There's actual physical folklore. So it's not somebody making stuff up off the shooting from the hip. But whether they're how accurate they are, it's like horoscopes. Are Cancers really this way? Are Scorpios really that way? But yeah, I'm calling out you water signs. I'm a water sign. I'm a Cancer too. But I don't think that it really has any bearing, but there is folklore behind it. Whereas what they're building with some of the spiritualist communication options, it's de novo, right? The Ouija board was invented during this time period in order to talk to spirits. A Ouija board isn't something that goes back to ancient times. It was invented during the spiritualist movement. Seances were invented during the spiritual movement, where everybody joins hands around a table and speaks out to the dead. That was invented during this period. So they're mixing old folkloric methods of divination with newfangled spiritualist definitions of divining, and sort of doing this conglomeration that makes it seem like it's really ancient, but at the time it was new. And you'll see this time and again with other New Age movements, like the neo-pagan movement started in the 1960s, right? They really wanted to cling on to this. We are just a continuation of ancient witchcraft lineages passed down in secret, but they were really just an eclectic assortment of old folk tricks or folk magic, and mixed together with de novo rituals to their gods and goddesses. Anyway.
Spiritualism will work miracles in the cause of reform. Their public sessions grew into a tour, one that began in major cities in the eastern United States, including Cleveland, Cincinnati, Columbus, St. Louis, Washington, D.C., and Philadelphia. However, it was only Maggie and Kate who went on tour, as Leah continued to hold seances in a private room back in New York. She also reportedly capitalized on some transatlantic work opportunities as well. The increase in their fame and popularity not only resulted in spiritualism becoming a trend, but making it the subject of significant controversy. The Fox sisters' work inspired many who would follow suit in practicing mediumship, such as Victoria Claflin Woodhull, who became a leader of the women's suffrage movement and would also become the very first woman to run for president of the United States in 1872.
Oh, I didn't know that. I should look into her more. Seems like an interesting woman.
The sisters' sessions also led to the formation of plenty of cultists and pseudo-religious crusadings. The Paris Review reports, from the Fox sisters, the phenomenon of spiritualism emerged not as some shadowy occult practice or roadside attraction, but as an exciting way of reconciling the ineffable mysteries of the soul with the complex realities of a modern, rapidly industrializing nation. Even though many skeptics questioned their authenticity, no evidence of explicit fraud was ever found against the Fox sisters. Other famous mediums that would emerge over time include Cora Scott Hatch, Edgar Cayce, and Arthur Ford, to name a few. Further down the
Yeah, most of these folks are people that Dan Aykroyd would cite too, right? Edward Cayce, he talks about. I didn't have a video of him talking about him, but yeah, the spiritualist movement. These are their I don't call them saints, but like these are their people. They're like a Joseph Smith, I guess, would be the best thing to compare them to of the spiritualist movement. These are the people that got the ground going.
The line, Harry Houdini would become one of the fiercest opponents of fake seances, and was known to crusade against the mediums he believed to be inauthentic. For years, Houdini sought out a real medium in an attempt to reach his deceased mother. And
here is our guy who paved the way for people like James Randi and Matt Dillahunty and debunking these scoundrels.
His own death promised his wife he would contact her through a medium. The Fox sisters and their world of metaphysical adventure also fascinated and possibly made believe.
Woodhull only popped back into common knowledge again when Hillary ran to refute her claim of being the first female candidate for president. Yeah, Hillary lies a lot, but like, she doesn't lie as much as Donald Trump, But people were like, we don't like Hillary because she lies. And you like Donald Trump because he tells it like it is. When Donald Trump lies and Hillary lies, you just think that Donald Trump lied to you better. You liked the way he lied to you. You liked the way it made you feel better than the way she lied to you.
Believers out of several more notable figures, such as the chemist Sir William Crookes, who would pioneer developments in photography and electricity, and discovered the element thallium. John Logie Baird, who developed television. Alexander Graham Bell and Guglielmo Marconi, inventors of the telephone and radio.
Yeah. Just because a lot of people are into spiritualism, I mean, Sir Isaac Newton was a alchemist, so yeah. Why do they overlook his lies? Because he's a professional salesman. He's a professional grifter. He's a professional. His profession is making any kind of deal sound good and selling you whatever. I think people also forgot that Elizabeth Dole ran for president in 2000. I didn't remember that. Huh.
While touring in 1852, Maggie met explorer Elisha Kent Kane, who was an attendee of one of their seances. Although Elisha himself was a skeptic, he was swept away by Maggie's charm. He was 13 years her senior, and while it seemed that Maggie was initially not interested in a man so much older than her, they eventually were married in a private ceremony. In their short time together, Elisha
grooming
continuously wished to remove Maggie from the spiritualist world and properly educate her, to which Maggie finally obliged, leaving spiritualism and the seances behind her. Maggie became a widow just 5 years later and was baptized into the Roman Catholic Church in August 1858, something her late husband always wanted for her.
So she found Jesus.
She renounced spiritualism from that point on. It's noted that Kate and their parents were by her side during the baptism. Elisha's family had disapproved of his marriage to Maggie, and upon his death refused to acknowledge her status as his wife or widow, even denying her any claim to his estate.
That's bullshit. She had rightful claim to that estate if she had married him. She put up with his weird old man advances. She at least...
She later published Elisha's love letter to her in a book titled The Love Life of Dr. Kane. Unfortunately, it came nearly 10 years after Elisha's death, and did poorly. Seeking comfort in a troubling time, Maggie turned to alcohol, eventually spiraling into poverty. Also in 1858, Leah ceased offering her services for money after marrying her third husband, a wealthy businessman and spiritualist, Daniel Uphill. As for Kate, she would continue to develop her skills as a medium, coming up with incredible ways to convey messages, including writing and speaking 2 different messages at the same time.
So really, yeah, it comes down to between Kate and Maggie about this, so things are about to unravel.
She traveled to England to capitalize on the growing interest in spiritualism. In 1872, while in London, she met a fellow spiritualist and lawyer named Henry Diedrich Jenkin, whom she married. Their marriage lasted just short of a decade, before Kate would, too, become a widow.
I think these Fox sisters might be killing their husbands. It was a very popular thing to do back then. Not really popular, but there were methods to dispose of a abusive or unwanted husband. To become a widow. But they also seemed like these girls were all about marrying older men.
The death of her husband in 1881 only made matters worse for Kate. The pressure to perform became too much for her, and she, like Maggie, turned to alcohol for comfort. As Kate's life also spiraled, Leah added insult to injury by accusing Kate of being unfit to care for her own children, resulting in them being taken away from her. The sisters' relationship was compromised by their personal struggles.
Isn't that fucked? Like on your own siblings. I guess if your siblings not taking care of their kids, though, you got to do what you got to do. But damn.
Seemingly reached some kind of wit's end, Maggie was now in opposition of the very thing that made the Fox sisters. On May 27, 1888, Maggie Fox told the New York Herald, "Spiritism is a curse. No matter what form Spiritism presents itself, it is, was, and always will be a curse and a trap for all who engage with it." And on October 21, 1888, she would take it a step further, going on stage at New York's Academy of Music to expose the sisters herself. Leading up to this, Maggie knew nothing of the fight between Leah and Kate, having learned about it through the New York Herald. Before a crowd filled with spiritualists, she began to tell them how she and her sisters had tricked the public into believing the fraud of spiritualism. At her side was Kate, validating her every statement. She would go on to speak of their experience with the fraud.
So between Leah and Kate and Maggie is where things come. Leah's the older sister.
Claiming, "I repented it in my maturity. I have lived through years of silence, through intimidation, scorn, and bitter adversity, concealing as best I might the consciousness of my guilt. Now, thanks to God and my awakened conscience, I am at last able to reveal the fatal truth, the exact truth of this hideous fraud which has withered so many hearts and blighted so many hopeful lives. I am here tonight as one of the founders of spiritualism, to denounce it as an absolute falsehood from beginning to end, as the flimsiest of superstitions, the most wicked blasphemy known to the world."
Yeah, she's coming at this from a very, very religious place, because again, she found Jesus, so that'll happen. Actually, I know a lot of witchy Christian people, like Christian witches. It's kind of weird, but yeah.
Maggie claimed that the whole act started as a way to scare their mother, who was superstitious, and proceeded to demonstrate how they produced the wrappings that enthralled so many people. She removed her right shoe and placed her foot on a short wooden stool. The room grew silent as the crowd paid close attention. Moments later, the sound of wrappings could be heard. 3 physicians who observed her during the demonstration came on stage to confirm that the sound had indeed been produced by the first joint of her big toe.
Behold, parlor tricks.
The revelation sprung the pair into an expose tour, showing their tricks around the country. However, their best days were behind them, as the success fell short to that of their earlier days. Despite Maggie's confession, many in the spiritualism world did not give it much value. Due to her diminished mental state, alcoholism, and their steadfast belief in spiritualism, they easily dismissed her claims that the wrappings were false, instead choosing to believe that the sisters themselves were frauds. Since Maggie was paid $1,500 for her confession, some claimed that poverty was the motivation behind her action. It was possible she'd simply done it for the money, and not because she believed what she was saying. However, some have stated that Maggie's true motivation for revealing their secrets was to get back at their sister Leah. Maggie claimed that Leah exploited her and Kate when they were young and impressionable for her own financial gain and fame. Due to Maggie's public criticism of Kate's alcoholism, some blamed her for Kate losing custody of her children. Mediums and seances have long been questioned for authenticity.
So, Leah was still making money off this, I guess. So she was kind of the mastermind of monetizing the grift, right, between the sisters. Like her parents believed wholehearted all the way to their end that this was all real.
And many were found to be fraudulent. But in a strange twist, and perhaps in support of those who could not accept the sisters' confession, they would retract the confessions just a year later. Some in the spiritualist community were delighted, while others still looked down upon them. Maggie and Kate continued taking what work they could find within spiritualism. And in 1893, the infamous sisters transitioned to the other side, dying just months apart from each other. The duo of the trio lived their final days impoverished, and it was said that Maggie and Leah never patched things up.
Maybe they patched things up in the afterlife.
So what happens when we die? And can the dead really communicate with the living? Truth is, the answers to those questions will likely always remain.
I hope not. If there's an afterlife where I have to do shit, I'm going to be so pissed. I just want to just cease. Can I just cease? When it's over, when it's my time, do I have to hang around and do shit? Like, to come do tricks for people? Or go sit in heaven and worship a god? Or whatever anybody's version of the afterlife is? Or be reborn and have to do all this shit over again? Can I avoid all of those traps and just be chill? Like, gone? Just toss me into the void. Blackness. No consciousness. Like I was before I was born. Can you return me to that state, please? Thank you. I didn't ask for this. I don't want to be a bean again. This was enough for me. Thank you. I'd like to cancel my subscription to reincarnation.
Unsolved.
Unless I can be a frog. I might be a frog. I'm going to be a marmoset. If I have to be a human again, though, no. If I have to be a human again, no. But if I can be like an animal, or a plant, or a fungus, or something like that, something where I don't have to worry about taxes. All right. So, I mean, that was presented by BuzzFeed Unsolved, so take from it what you will. So we had, Dan Aykroyd on Joe Rogan. Then we had just gassing up the Fox sisters, and then we have the whole story of the Fox sisters and their falling out and their rise to power, their falling out, everything that and everything in between. So I don't know. I like doing these episodes on like a little expose on different people and that were involved in Woo. The psychic spy episode like really leaned into like Uri Geller, for instance, and his shenanigans. So if you like this stuff, let me know. This is one of the things I really enjoy doing on Weekend Weird is mediums and psychics and all that stuff. So I mean, I do like doing the lost civilizations and things, but I've been really getting into this lately. And I really enjoyed covering it and kind of cracking it open and like trying to perform the stuff myself if I can figure it out. I don't have a poppable toe, but I have a poppable jaw. My jaw would probably be a little more obvious though, unless I was like talking and it was happening. I don't know, because there's a little wiggle to my face, like a muscle twitch. Anyway. Yeah, that was the Fox sisters on This Week in Weird. What do you think about the Fox sisters? Do you think they were really communicating with spirits? Do you think it was all a big grift? Let me know in the comments down below. And please remember to be kind, take care, and we will see you next time. All right. Don't go anywhere live from the Hive audience, because there is Bree's Bestiary coming up, and we're going to commemorate Morris the Alligator. And you won't want to miss that, because he was a superstar, and we're gonna wish him well into the afterlife. Maybe he'll rap on things when we start talking about him. Maybe he'll start rapping on the furniture, but we'll find out. All right, I will see you in just a moment. Going to take a quick short intermission, and I will be back. Much love. Hello, hello, my beauties and bees, and welcome to another installment of Bree's Bestiary. Today we are gathered in a somber occasion, because, yeah, an important icon from my childhood, or my youth at least, has passed. Morris the alligator. Now, if you are a child of the 80s and 90s, you're probably going to recognize some of Morris's exploits in history. He's been around since, his earliest work I see is from 1980 and forward. But he was an 80-year-old alligator. Anyhow, so I put together this little playlist, and we're just gonna kind of watch it through of Morris doing different cute stuff and being on different shows and movies. I hope you enjoy. He's just an old alligator that spent a lot of time in movies because he was most of the time. You know, you'll have animals that are exceptionally well behaved become famous, but Morris was famous for something else. He was famous for being snappy and hissy and growly. He was very vocal and very feisty, and they used that in the movies. But you'll see. This is the most recent video I could find of him being fed. So there may be more recent videos out there, but this one was the most recent that I could find. Yeah. From the Gator Wrestler guy. Yeah. And this one he guys took because he gets really snappy in it. And this was more recent too. Look how feisty he is. My tail's going. Such a cutie. The person in the dinosaur suit has painted toenails.
Whoa, honey.
He's snapping at the head, though, and that, like, the head leans too far over top of him, and it's making him uncomfortable. Yes.
Now, who's this spoiled alligator here today who's getting a full rack of ribs? Well, this is Morris. He's my personal favorite alligator to work with at Colorado Gators, but he's also our most famous alligator here. He is famous because he worked in the movie industry for years. He was in movies like Alligator 1, Alligator 2, and his most famous role was in Happy Gilmore. Now, he's retired to Colorado Gators, doesn't make any more movies, but he's still a beautiful
Yes, he ate Chubb's hand.
animal, and people come all over to see him.
Morris, the legendary alligator who once stole the show in Adam Sandler's Happy Gilmore, has passed away at the remarkable age of over 80. This Hollywood reptile icon, who had been living out his golden years at the Colorado Gators
He's got
Reptile
some
Park,
pretty cool
left behind
coloration.
a legacy as long and storied as his scaly tail. The sanctuary, a haven for exotic animals in Colorado, shared the sad news on May 11th. We're heartbroken to share that our oldest gator, Morris, has passed, they wrote in a heartfelt Facebook post. While his passing was not unexpected due to his age, it still came as a blow to those who knew and cared for him. Morris wasn't just any alligator. He was a seasoned screen veteran with a career spanning more than 3 decades.
I don't think that's Morris. I don't think Morris was white.
After bursting onto the scene in the 1996 hit comedy Happy Gilmore, where he memorably bit off Chubb's hand, Morris went on to appear in a slew of other movies and shows. His film credits include Dr. Dolittle 2, Eraser, Interview with the Vampire, Blues Brothers 2000, and even a guest spot on Night Court. He also made a notable appearance alongside Steve Irwin on The Tonight Show with Jay Leno, proving he had the charisma to...
And we are going to watch all those clips here, so don't even worry about it. We got clips for days. There's hopefully short enough to not get us in trouble, but we'll see.
Harm both humans and crocodile hunters alike. Originally kept illegally as a pet, Morris's story could have gone in a very different direction. Thankfully, he was rescued and taken in by Jim Brockett, an animal...
He's a beefy boy. Those powerful ass jaws.
Wrangler who...
That George Carlin guy doesn't stand a chance.
who provided animals for Hollywood productions. With Brockett's care and connections, Morris transitioned from backyard captivity to movie stardom. From 1975 to 2006, he dazzled on screen and became one of the most well-known reptilian performers in the business. By 2005, Brockett realized Morris needed a quieter life and reached out to Jay Young at the Colorado Gator Farm. Morris soon found his forever home, complete with his own pond and a couple of gator girlfriends, affectionately named Paris and Brittany. There, he enjoyed
Paris and Brittany. Very 90s. We just watched Brittany, too, so that's kind of ironic.
2 peaceful decades of retirement, lounging in the sun and occasionally reminding staff and visitors that he still had a wild side. Jay Young recalled the moment he knew something was wrong. Normally aggressive and lively, Morris didn't respond when food was offered. 2 weeks ago, he was trying to eat dogs and kids through the fence, Young said, half-jokingly. He was fine. But suddenly, Morris stopped eating, even spitting out food when forced to eat, a sign something was off. When Young entered his enclosure and Morris didn't react, the concern turned to sorrow. There's always that question of could we have done more? But in this case, I really don't think we could have, Young shared. It's sad, yes, but not tragic.
I don't think Colorado's probably not the best place for an alligator either. I don't know. I'm sure it was a heated pond and stuff, but Colorado doesn't seem like a good place for an alligator to live. Florida, Louisiana, Alabama, Texas, Arkansas, Mississippi, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, even into the Virginias, maybe. The very, very boot heel of Missouri, southern Tennessee, but not Colorado. Maybe even Oklahoma, but not Colorado.
Long, full life. And Morris's story doesn't end with his passing. The sanctuary announced they will preserve his memory, quite literally, through taxidermy. Morris will continue to live on, delighting and possibly scaring generations of visitors, just as he...
That's a horrible thing to do to your alligator friend, Rainbow. I would have reported his ass. What's the normal lifespan of an alligator? This would be a pretty full life for an alligator. They can live for about the same lifespan as a human. So Morris would have lived a pretty full life, but I believe that they can exceed 100 years in age, though, if conditions are optimal. So he could have just died of old age, too, About 30 to 50 years, is that what it's showing? Yeah, so he exceeded, if it's 30 to 50, or 35 to 50 years, then he exceeded the normal lifespan. But we have to remember that infant mortality will drive down the average lifespans. And when alligators come out, they're only this big, or when they hatch, when they come out of their little nest, they're tiny, and a lot of them get eaten. So that drives down the average. But ones that reach adulthood, I believe they can regularly exceed or reach this age that Morris is. Once they've reached full maturity and have less risk of being eaten by a heron or a crane or a snapping turtle.
He did in life. From illegal pet to movie star to beloved Gator ambassador, Morris truly lived a one-of-a-kind life. His journey was filled with second chances, silver screen moments, and the kind of charm only a grumpy, tooth-losing alligator could possess.
Subscribe for more interesting videos and hit the like button.
Here we go. Here's the scene with the alligator from Happy Gilmore. You guys ready? I'm going to have to pause this quite a bit because I don't want to get copyright stricken. He was well fed, and I'm sure they played with him a lot with his food, giving him exercise. Yeah, I see like people teasing him with the fish and stuff. Oldest on record is 85. Okay, thank you, John Hudson. Yeah. All right, John Fapiano, you have a good one. So 85 is the oldest on record. So he lived a happy, full life then. Like they're talking about what more could we do. He was He would maybe one of the oldest alligators currently in captivity.
That son of a bitch! Give me my ball! Give it here! Pop it up, you dirty bastard! I swear to God, I'll rip it out of you! Give me the ball, alligator. Ah! You've got one eye. Chuck.
Some of these scenes are not Morris. They're actually a prosthetic alligator. Sorry, I had to sneeze, so I muted.
You took his hand.
Yeah, that's not really Morris there. At this point. And here's the movie from 1980, Alligator, when Morris was quite a bit younger. He would have been about 40 when he made this movie. Some of this is going to be like, that's not really done. Oh, we're going to mute that. We don't need to get sued by Rob Zombie. There he is. They put it in like super slow motion for some reason though, so he looks all awkward and weird. He's such a cutie though. Explosions. It's still playing Super Beast by Rob Zombie, by the way. Any more scenes with him? Lots of puppetry. Did you try tasering the alligator? All right, we're gonna move to the next one. I think that's all the gator scenes in this. This is Alligator 2, so he was in the sequel too. So we're gonna mute it. That was D. Bradley. Where are you, Morris?
His home's been invaded. He's gonna stake out new territory. That means a rampage, Hodges.
That thing out there, it's still alive. I can feel it.
It's a walking bomb, David.
Is it gonna show him? Come on, where's Morris? There he is! You see his happy, derpy face? Look at that. I love how derpy he looks. Even like when he's supposed to be scary, he's like got that alligator smile.
Kill it!
Don't blow him up. He's my friend. Alright, I think that's all the rest of this is all like dummies and stuff too, so. The next one we get to is going to be dumping Lestat's body. So.
Don't be angry with me.
This is Interview with the Vampire. Louis and Claudia dumping Lestat.
He belongs with those reptiles, Louis.
There's Morris!
He deserved to die.
Then perhaps so do we. Every night of our lives. He was my maker. He gave me this life, whatever it is.
We're going to pretend that Brad Pitt was mourning Morris there, though. Right?
Shouldn't have been.
That's not a real alligator.
I did it for us, Louis.
That looks like almost
So
stop
we could
motion.
be free.
In fact, he became an international
And
celebrity.
then here's a
traveling
scene
from
in
Alaska.
Dr. Dolittle 2. And there is... Yeah, this is an actor gator, Logan Fisher. Sure is. There, though. So that was just like the last, like a brief second of it turning around to strike is Morris. Then here's Blues Brothers 2000. Let's see, how far into this did we need to go? Here you go. So you got John Goodman, Dan Aykroyd. There's Morris. Morris.
What happens when we don't pass this audition?
Attention! Queen Musette will receive you now.
All right, that was the Blues Brothers alligator scene. Now this one is freaking funny as hell because watch this. Okay, so there's this. I'm not gonna watch the whole thing because it's like 3 minutes, but let's just say Arnold Schwarzenegger's protecting the girl, and these guys are shooting at him, and
I'm out.
You guys and your CGI. I'm not being on stage with a CGI or puppet. You get me a real alligator, I'm not doing this. So James Caan's like, get me Morris. And that's literally that was literally the extent of that. Hold on, I'm gonna go back and watch that again because it's literally just a flash second of James Caan and Morris right there. That's it. That's his whole scene. But he didn't want no CGI alligator, so good on you, James. I know this was an episode of Coach. This is the only clip of it I could find. Is in this really weird down in the corner formulation. But there's an alligator. The alligator plays an important role to the sketch that they do, and Morris is their star. Trying to find the timeline here. A little further down. Where's the alligator? Yeah. Okay, so there we go. You got Morris in the boat. There's more scenes of him. Hold on. Obviously, there's going to be more scenes of the actor with the dialogue. There we go. What a cutie. He's so cute. I love him. I want to pet him and boop his snoot. He would bite my hand off, like Chops, though. And it doesn't even seem like they might even be on the same set with the alligator. Alright, then back to these people. What? How are we gonna deal with the alligator? What are they gonna do? Catch it with a net? Toss a net over to. That's the end of that.
My next guest
Okay,
stars
here
in
we
The
go.
Crocodile Hunter, which can be seen on the Animal Planet channel.
Now this
He's
is
also
what
the
I'm worried
director
about
of the
getting
Australian
me
Zoo, 'cause NBC's
kicked off.
Just
So
kind
we'll
of
stop this a lot.
staying behind me there.
Which way
Here
do I
he
go?
is.
Yeah,
Mr.
that'll be
Morris.
Fine, that'll be fine.
All right.
Okay, his name's Morris. He's 600 pounds. Run, guys, run. The only thing you got to watch out for, Jay, is that when he swings, he'll actually swing around with such speed that he can actually grab you before you even know what's happening.
Really?
Hey, yeah. Hey, Morris, what are you doing, buddy? You all right there, buddy?
What's his name? I wouldn't get him pissed off.
Oh, I'm not
Steve.
gonna, mate. I'm trying to...
He's so cute. Look at his derpy little smile. I can't get enough of it.
I'm just rubbing him, trying to keep him all settled down.
Well, don't
Hey,
get him
he's a
turned
good
on. He might
boy.
want a mate.
Have a look at this, mate. This is the closest thing you'll ever see to a dinosaur. He's actually a modern-day
Bye, Rainbow
dinosaur.
Ash.
They date back nearly 200 million years. And we use this bloke because he's a real quiet old alligator.
This will be
ain't
the
he?
end of
He's
this
building up,
episode, by
see
the
that
way.
there? Yeah, you building up, fella?
Look at those eyes. Look at
Hey?
those eyes.
Yeah. Look how massive his feet are. His feet are almost as big as Steve's.
Beautiful. Have a look at that big boofy head too, mate. He's like just loaded with power. Absolutely loaded with power. Aren't you, fella? You want to get in closer, Jay?
Yeah, I want to get in closer.
Want to pat him on the tail, mate? You're no danger back there on the tail. Whoa, whoa, whoa. What are you doing, big fella?
And they move fast, don't they? How
He's
fast can you
aggravated.
Turn around.
He's so cute. Look at his chubby cheeks. Oh my gosh, I want to squeeze him. I want to squeeze him. He'd eat my head if I did that, but I want to, nonetheless.
This way to the camera.
I wouldn't
There's a
piss him
good boy.
off, Steve. You know,
No, no. Oh.
Whoa.
There's a good boy. He's all right.
he
That
seems
just
to
gives you-
like the band.
Hey, Kevin.
Hey, what's up, man?
He's all right. He's a big boy. Have a look at his web back feet here, too. Look at that. That enables him to actually use his web feet, whoa, back, to actually paddle through the water. A lot of people say, you know, their tail, they can actually break your leg. Oh, hear him there. Whoa. Hissing at me.
Hello, how are
He's
you?
saying,
Nice to see you.
That's what Morris is famous for. They picked Morris for a reason on this because he's feisty and they wanted an alligator to come on to be all.
Hi.
Stay
Call
back,
me.
stay here, mate. Don't
We'll be
eat
in
Jake.
touch.
Don't eat Jake.
Now,
There's
what's
a
the
good boy.
difference between crocodile and alligator again? Give me
Oh,
that.
heck of a lot of difference,
Now,
mate.
it's making noise.
What he's saying is back off or I'll bite you.
Oh.
Back off or I bite ya. Yeah, he's not saying it to you, Jay. He's saying it to Steve.
Well, that's alligator breath, isn't it?
Yeah, too right, mate. Smells like a bit of rotten old meat there. Difference between alligators and crocodiles. If this was a croc, I'd be just a bleeding mess right now, and you'd probably have your leg ripped off. Crocodiles are so aggressive, they just hit with such power and speed.
Crocodiles are so much more athletic, too. But they can't survive the cold like alligators can, so it's a trade-off. Alligators can shut down their metabolism a little better than way better than crocodiles can. Alligator can survive under a frozen pond for a couple months. A crocodile cannot survive much below, like room temperature.
And ferocity that you can't get out of the way quick enough. You can see
Crikey.
this gator, you're actually able to pat on him and love on him. He has a couple of stripes.
I don't want to love on him, but yeah, I know what you mean.
Which is under here, mate. That's how you tell him. Oh, you don't like me talking about your boy bits, do you, fella?
I'm gonna stick my finger in his bum. He's doing the South Park thing.
Right under here.
Now,
See
why-
under here, that's where he's,
Yeah, I got you.
so-
Yeah.
Hey, wait. Don't go in there. Don't eat the cameras, mate. No.
I like
Get a
the
little
fact that
grumpy.
he's smiling.
I like that he's
Grab
getting
his
so
tail,
close
mate.
to the
Pull back,
audience.
Pull back, all right, pull back.
Pull back. Pull back.
Yeah. Do you think Jay is really helping or just holding the tail while Steve pulls him back?
That's good. All right. You're a legend, mate.
Alligators have the more rounded snouts and crocodiles have the more V-shaped snouts. This is the alligator. Very rounded. It's U is an alligator, V is a crocodile.
Oh, that's so sad. Thank you very much.
And then there's the gharial, but we won't talk about that right now because that's really, I mean, you'll know a gharial when you see one, or a gharial or a false gharial, depending on if it has the bola on the end of its snoot. But there, yeah, if you call them anything, I'd say that if crocodiles and alligators are V and U shaped, then gharial is I shaped or I beam shaped.
Well, he's
You want to jump in there, mate?
No, I want him to jump in here. What do I do?
Just give him a bit of a...
Give him a bit of
there.
a... Oh, mate.
There's a good boy.
There's a good boy. Gotta be fast.
All right.
Gotta be fast. Gotta be fast.
Wait,
Oh.
grab his tail, mate.
Gotta
Grab
be
his tail.
fast. Gotta be fast. Gotta be fast. Gotta be fast. How did I get this stupid job?
That ought to do it.
Here we
All
go.
right. Yep.
Pretty
Gotta
cool.
be fast.
Got to be fast.
He likes Kev. I don't know.
Oh, hey. Yeah, have a go at those teeth, Jay.
I'm not gonna have a go with the teeth, but I'll look at him.
Yeah.
He's doing that breathing thing again.
Yeah, he's getting angry.
See,
He's
this is great.
hissing.
We gotta go. We gotta be right back with the Blind Boys of Alabama.
All right, yeah. So that was Morris. I think that's the last one I have. Hold on, maybe not. Is there any more after this? Nope, that's it. Yeah. Okay, so that was Morris the alligator. Lived 80 years. He had a star-studded history, and yeah, they're actually going to have him taxidermied and put on display so he can continue to scare kids. So, it is what it is. All right. Thank you so much for sticking with me for this special episode of Ray's Bestiary, where we talk about generally any kind of animal in the animal kingdom. But today I wanted to give a special spotlight to Morris. So appreciate you for sticking around. Please remember to be kind. Take care. And we'll see you next time. All right. Live from the Hive audience. That's the show. That's the show. So we had the sweepers for our Cryptic Corner. Then we had the Fox Sister for our Weekend Weird. And then we wrap things up with Morris the Alligator. There will be more polls up, of course, to choose what we cover on next week's episode. So watch for those. You'll be able to choose between you'll be able to choose stuff for Cryptic Corner, and you'll be able to choose stuff for Weekend Weird. So keep your eyes on the prize for that, and we'll see what you all want to watch next time around. As for the Bestiary, I think I already have something in mind that I'm going to do. So, but we'll see. We'll wait and see. But that's a whole nother can of worms that I deal with myself, because the Bestiary section is not really something I worry about too much, because I do it at the end of the show. I do it for fun for me. Sometimes they're hits and sometimes they're misses, but I cover what I want to cover there. So the rest of the show, I want to make sure I'm making you guys happy, because you are the ones that pay me. So anyhow, yeah, we're going to wrap the show up here. It's been 3 hours, 3 glorious hours with you guys. It's 11:30 now here. I'm going to go eat one of these donuts and go to the bathroom and do some puppy tending, turn on the pool pump. Gonna clean up some messes around the house, and yeah. All right. Love. I will see you. Hopefully I'll see some of you all Thursday night for the Transpositions Live. Thursday night at 0 hour Meridian time. But yeah, I hope to see you guys there. Please remember to be kind, take care, and we will see you next week.
With all the noise, pseudoscience, and political rhetoric clogging the airwaves about transgender people, it can be difficult to understand what's really happening and what's really true. Good news, everyone! Welcome to The Transpositions, your compass in the rugged landscape of transgender issues. Here, we strive to be the beacon of authenticity, providing a platform that amplifies the voices and experiences of the transgender community. From breaking news to in-depth features to breaking down the real science, we are committed to fostering understanding, empathy, and empowerment for all individuals across the gender spectrum. Join us as we navigate the complexities, celebrate the triumphs, and advocate for the rights of transgender people worldwide. Together, we can redefine boundaries, challenge stereotypes, and champion inclusivity. Subscribe today. The link is in the description.